Blog Talk Radio.
I'm here.
Basically.
What the hell is that?
I'm sorry. Well.
Welcome to the Will and Thunder Show. Will and Thunder Show.
Ridiculous. Welcome to the Will and Thunder Show.
Well, hello there, and welcome into the Will and Thunder Show. Everybody here with me?
Yep.
Yeah, we're all here.
All right. I don't know what happened there, but all of a sudden, I disappeared for a second. Well, thanks for pulling me back in there. The aliens are trying to get me again from a couple shows ago.
Yeah,
Well, they
they're
got
trying to
Chris,
get me too, because I also got the
Really? Oh, so
Yeah.
now they're stepping up their game and trying to get two of the three. All right. Yeah, all right, that's fine. When we get off the show tonight, I'm going to have to get with NASA and get those satellites linked up and all that. You remember those Star Wars lasers? We're going to pull them out again. We'll pull them out. You guys better back off.
Right.
You've
I'm
seen
telling
Independence Day.
Haters are at work. I'm telling you, it's got to be. Haters are at work.
I'm telling you. It's
There's
those
somebody
two
who's
sons of
jealous.
bitches. Look, it's some two sons of bitches from Microsoft or whoever running around in that van. That's what they're doing. They're trying to with our radio program and looking all innocent. And, oh, yeah, we're just having a good old time. Yeah, whatever. We'll find you, I promise.
So how are you, Will?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. I'm a little pissed off. I just found out from a guy that I work with that I could have had $500,000.
And
What?
how did this elude you?
This guy, I'm talking about the McDonald's Monopoly game.
Yeah.
This guy, he had Boardwalk. He showed it to me.
Yeah.
I had like 3 park places.
And you know what? I was convinced that they never make one or the other because every year I either get one or the other, but obviously never both at once.
Right.
I had a theory that they just make one of either every year. Like they have one year where they make the park place.
You're right. They'll make one park place. But, I mean, no, literally, I mean, cause, like, I've been there, and I've gotten Boardwalk like 150 times, and then there's no park place ever. I think they back and forth every year. They'll do one of either one,
No, they
and a
didn't,
million of
because
the other ones.
I had Park Place this year, and he had Boardwalk. But we didn't.
Right, well, he might have had the only Boardwalk one.
But
He might have had the only Boardwalk one.
But we didn't make this connection until, like a couple days ago after the damn thing was over.
Well, I mean, that's a sad note, and I'm sorry for you. But one good note from McDonald's, McRib's back.
Yeah, meh.
Well, you know,
the best sandwich they ever made.
Now that you know that, just from now on, everybody just pool your resources. Like, okay,
Damn
at the end of at least then you have a chance at some money.
Exactly.
Like if you have Boardwalk, call me because I get Park Place every single damn year.
All right, well, now we know. So.
Yeah, I get one or the other. Usually I'll get a Boardwalk but not a Park Place or vice versa. So that's why I was convinced with
Now I
Thunder's
can't
theory
wait.
as well that they make only one each year just to throw everybody off.
In 11 and a half months from today, we'll be doing a show just bullshitting around, and we're going to get a call in. Like, we got a call, and let's see what this is. And you're going to be like, hey, Will, I got Park Place.
And then he's going to be like when Homer quit his job at the nuclear power plant.
Exactly.
See you so long, suckers.
Me and you will still be talking and won't hear anything. Like, what the hell just happened? As we hear Will's microphone hit the floor. The hell was that?
Damn it, man. Well, we've got an awesome lineup of guests for you tonight. We've got the Brian Vollmer, the singer from the legendary hair metal band Helix, joining us at about 10:30. And then around 11:15, we've got Miss Pamela Moore, also known as Sweet Sister Mary from the Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime album. So she's going to probably be with us for the duration of for the rest of the show. So kind of pumped about that.
Exactly, star-studded episode of the Will and Thunder show, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's right.
So so it's just kind of ironic that we have this story, that we have Pamela Moore on. Pamela, she's not a moron.
So we have Pamela Moore visiting the show today.
Thank you. It's kind of ironic that that we have her with us, and this week in the news, there's like at least two different Queensryche stories. So
really?
So we're going to go ahead and lead off with the with the news, and that. I think we got 3 or 4 stories total. That should take us right up to Helix. So let's do the news.
I read the news today, oh boy. Have you read the news? Have you read the news?
Who is that? All right, it's metal news. We were talking about Queensryche. There's 2 Queensryche stories that we can think of, but let's start off with the one. Okay, basically those of y'all who were not familiar with the lawsuit that went down between Jeff Tate and Queensryche, basically per the lawsuit, Jeff Tate cannot release anything under the name Queensryche. Yet he's re-releasing. Well, actually, he's re-releasing his Frequency Unknown album. And the picture I saw of the album cover, it's the same thing. They've changed the color scheme around a little bit, but it's the same thing, and it has Queensryche across the top of it. The songs, which really. There's like only one good song on the entire album anyway, and then like 4 really bad remakes of Queensryche classics. But we've got it's the original disc and then another disc of remastered songs. So no new songs on the new album. But so my question is A, what's the point, and B, isn't there some type of a legal issue with that, considering he is releasing that album under the Queensryche moniker?
Yeah, actually, I addressed this question out loud on my blog when I wrote about the lawsuit settlement, and that was a question I had heard from several fans and also wondered myself, which is basically what becomes of Frequency Unknown now that Wilton, Rockenfield Jackson, and Todd Latore and Parker Lundgren all have the Queensryche name. What happens to that album? Is it considered part of their back catalog? Do they have the right to perform any of those songs if they so choose? Which I don't see why they would.
I don't think they would want to.
No, of course not. But it's an interesting angle to look at because it bears the Queensryche name, which is now theirs. So does that album legally belong to them? And if it were to be re-released, would it have to be released under Tate's own name, or would they get a cut of the proceeds from that album when it's re-released because it bears the Queensryche name? That's something that I wondered out loud then, and it never really got addressed when the band came out and listed all the things that Tate had rights to and that they had rights to. Somehow in the mix, that Frequency Unknown never really got mentioned. I can understand why it didn't, but now with this whole re-release thing or this deluxe version thing, it kind of brings up that same question all over again. Who does this belong to, and does the record label have the right to release it under the Queensryche name? Because obviously this is more of a record label maneuver, not so much Jeff Tate, because we all know, for those of us who are somewhat in the know about how the music industry works, usually remasters and reissues and deluxe versions of this, that, and the other usually are record label things. It's not so much that the artist wakes up one day and says, I think I'm going to re-release this album for the 20th time. So or have another greatest hits compilation. Most of the time, they're not really that inclined to do those things. But it brings back that whole question: is who does this belong to? Because I don't think Queensryche wants it, and technically, it's more of a Jeff Tate solo album. So, does the record label have the right to release it as Queensryche, or is somebody going to stop them and say, hey, you need to re-release this under the name Jeff Tate? And actually, the reason why I brought it up on my blog was because my thought was if they have to re-release it under Jeff Tate's name, the original copy ends up kind of becoming a collector's item of some sort, because it's obviously if future editions were made to say Jeff Tate or made to be re-released under his name, then these are the only copies that say Queensryche on them. But it's one of those collector's items that nobody wants.
Yeah, it's a collector's item that nobody wants. I mean, I would say that if you took everybody that bought that album when it came out, I admit I bought it, but if you take all of the people that bought that album, they probably wouldn't even fill an arena.
I wouldn't even think they'd fill a club, to be quite honest. I mean, I mean no disrespect to Jeff Tate, but even people I know who are Jeff Tate supporters or fans did not like that album. A lot of people I know who are Tate fans even say this wasn't his shining moment. This was obviously an attempt to make a cash grab, or one last attempt to grab people who are on the fence about the whole Queensryche thing, or to, one last gasp to use the Queensryche name before he has to give it up. Or basically, I don't see a lot of fans who actually consider this one of his finer works. So I don't think even those who bought it. Where did Thunder go? Did Thunder get a
I'm here. I'm listening to you.
Okay.
Quick question though, like on the same aspect though. I was just letting you guys, go on there for a minute. What about the previous albums like Mindcrime and Empire? Now, up until the time of this lawsuit, where did all the royalties go to off these two albums?
Well, obviously,
Are they split?
that was all. I mean, obviously that was all worked out in the settlement because Mindcrime is Tate's intellectual property. So he gets the rights to that to perform it in its entirety whenever he wants. And obviously everybody gets whatever royalties or whatnot that was part of that. And that's why Frequency Unknown is an interesting sort of wild card, so to speak, because
I'm not as familiar with Frequency Unknown. I mean, I never bought the album, never looked into it.
You don't have to buy the album or know the music to have any to consider that this is a sort of weird, a kind of strange situation here because.
Well, what I'm asking is any of the other members of Queensryche on the album?
No.
Or is it just Jeff Tate's version? Okay, see, that now makes more sense because, as I said, I didn't keep up with that album at all. I knew that there was problems and everything brewing, but I mean, so now that album there is just Jeff Tate's and whatever his band is now, his version of Queensryche.
Right, that was when he was allowed to use the name equally. So Queensryche had their album, which is the self-titled album with Todd Latore, and then there was Frequency Unknown, which was the Jeff Tate version of Queensryche. So that's kind of why this is an interesting situation because
the only
name
thing that
belongs to them now.
Right. Well, the only thing I can think of is that it was recorded before the settlement, so therefore it is a Queensryche product with Jeff Tate's name on it. Even though it's only Jeff Tate, one of the original members, and they retain future Queensryche rights, it was not settled yet, so therefore he still had the right to use the Queensryche logo and the name behind it, just like he does for the royalties for Mindcrime and Empire. Is the only thing I can think of.
I mean that's the part of the settlement. That's why this is kind of weird because now with the settlement he's not allowed to use the name Queensryche. He can
I understand
refer to himself as the former vocalist of Queensryche, but he cannot go around putting out records. I would think even re-releases.
Right, but this was already put out. Yeah, but. Well, I mean, I know that, but it was already done, it was already mastered, and if it has a copyright date before the settlement says you can no longer use the name, maybe he could use the name for that album.
This is something different. This is something different, though, because it's being remastered by somebody else, and somebody that wasn't on the original album. So no, this is something new, and I'm kind of inclined to agree with you, Chris, about it being a record label thing more than it is a Jeff Tate thing, because and I think probably over the next week or so we're gonna see a story about Queensryche's legal team going after going after Cleopatra Records, which is the record label that Frequency Unknown was released under, saying, hello, release the album all you want, but you can't use the name Queensryche, and you can't use the Tri-Ryche either.
Exactly. That's exactly why this is such an issue, because technically the name belongs to them. So if Cleopatra re-releases it, then I would think, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know how this works, but wouldn't it stand to reason that if Queensryche, if that's their name, then wouldn't they get the royalties and not Jeff Tate? I mean, how does that work? And it's just one of, a lot of the fans, the disillusioned fans, are made a point. I've read this comment in several places. This is just another way for Tate or whoever is working things in his camp that approve this kind of stuff to keep this confusion going on further, because it seems like that's all he's really got in a lot of respects towards this. But honestly, I mean, we've all busted Jeff Tate's balls on the show a lot of times, but this is one situation where I'm not inclined to agree with that and to say, honestly, I don't think he had anything to do with this. I think this is more just the record label's attempt to try and recoup some of the money that they lost on this monstrosity, which makes no sense to me, because if they didn't buy it the first time, what makes you think that repackaging a pile of crap is going to make people want to buy it even more?
Right, exactly. And no, I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. I was just trying to look at the angle of which, it would work out in that way. And that's the only thing I could think of if it was, packaged under that deal that, yes, you can use this album. And, if I was Queensryche, like, I wouldn't want you to use our name, but it's already been put out there. It's so, and there's so many angles put in this, and you know how lawyers work things and word things. I mean, look at bands like, Van Halen. Who has the rights to what in that band?
Right. Well, I would think Van
so
Halen,
hard.
that's the brother's name. That's the family name. So I think as far as that goes, it's pretty much the brother's name. Like Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony could not go around calling themselves Van Halen. When they toured together, they couldn't call themselves Van Halen. They had to call themselves the other half or whatever it was they were called.
Right.
So something like that is a little more cut and dry than how the whole Queensryche thing came to be, because there was just everything was equally split. Everyone had an equal share among the 5 members, and that's why this whole thing was a mess. And speaking of shares in the band, that probably leads us to our next Queensryche-related story that Will has for us. So,
well, before we do that, let's go to the big story that came out this week. Static X.
Mhm. Yeah, this is kind of a personal story for me. Very sad news. I was not a Static X fan, but I'm sure everyone knows. And actually, today would have been Wayne Static's 49th birthday, and he passed away over the weekend. At this time, the cause of death is speculated to be drugs, but nobody really knows, because it just happened over the last couple of days. And the reason why I say this is a personal story is because I actually was fortunate enough to not be friends with them, but I was friends with someone who ended up being their guitar tech, and for many years I got to watch this band rise to fame from the LA clubs back when they called themselves Static in the late 90s, and it was just a very cool thing to watch these guys come up from, working together at the Virgin Megastore in Los Angeles to pretty much watching their videos on MTV back when they played music videos. And, it's just a very, very tragic thing, because, I have to put it out there, because a lot of people, when things like this get out, everybody has a set idea in their mind of what causes these people's deaths. And even if it comes out later on that he didn't die of drugs, it's already out there. People have already put it in their mind that he's a druggie. And, so I just want to put it out there that Wayne was a nice guy. He was a very cool person, very talented musician. His music wasn't my thing, but I always respected his talent, and it's just a shame that he's gone. He was a very cool person, and, one of my favorite memories of Wayne is meeting him at few times I met him in person at my friend's wedding, and he got out of his big blue truck, and his big stand-up hair was dyed blue to match the truck. It was just hilarious. He's dressed up in this tux or suit, and he's got his big stand-up hair. Even at a wedding, he had to have the hair, and this was before they were signed to a label, before they were, mega stars, before he had to always go around with the hair sticking up. Even back then, he still did that, and he was just an all-around nice person and very cool, and always very nice. So it's just a very sad, and we're all very sad here at my house, because so many of our friends still kept in touch with the guys from that camp, and we lost contact with them many years ago when band lineup changes started happening and people started moving to different locales. But we always thought well of them, and we're always excited to see them do new things, and we're always happy for them when things happen for them. And just very, very sad what happened to Wayne, and I just wanted to put it out there that, he wasn't. I know that he did have drug problems, but I also heard that the last 5 years or so of his life that he did get sober and that he was clean. So who knows? I want to be somebody out there who doesn't want to jump to conclusions and say this is what killed the guy. And who knows? Maybe he had a health problem related to his former drug use, and who knows? So my thing is don't jump to conclusions, and until they say what a cause of death was, I'm not going to be so quick to say that, oh, it was drugs. But yeah, very, very sad news, and so I took it pretty hard. I normally don't get affected by quote-unquote celebrity deaths, but this was a little bit different for me because this was actually somebody that I was acquainted with and met several times and had friends that knew him personally. And so to me it wasn't really a celebrity death. It was more like, wow, this is somebody I have known however distantly. And that was, so yeah, very, very sad. I'm very sad for Wayne's family and all his friends around the world and the metal community and all of that. And so, yeah. So rest in peace, Wayne, and sorry you didn't make it to 49, man.
Well, that's what else can you say?
Exactly.
Yeah, were we having a moment of silence?
And it is like that, and especially with musicians, it's been a standard out there. If someone passes away suddenly, the first thing they go to is drug abuse. I mean, especially in the rock industry, that's they want to throw it towards that. But give it some time and let's see what's going on. And just a little respect for a fellow musician and fellow artist, man. And just
and for his family as well. It's just
right. Hearts and thoughts out to his family.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I never met anybody in his family or anything, but actually, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is, what people don't understand when you get in a situation like this, the first thing you're opt to do is to judge somebody. But you have to also go on another aspect. Yeah, these people might be in the limelight for a part of their life or what's have you, but they are just like me and you, and they do have families, and those families deserve the respect. They don't need the slander out there of this, that, and the other thing. And, a family should be allowed to grieve. I mean, yes, talk about the person and, give them a glory for what they've done. And if later down the line it comes to a situation where it was, a drug thing, well, you can talk about it a little bit then. And, if you want to use it, in the future for, well, this is why you shouldn't do things, is one thing. But right when a person passes away, I mean, you should look at their life, glorify and let their family grab a hold of it before you start going around on TV and radio and, throwing out accusations and, things like that. Just give the family a little bit of time, exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, there have been a couple instances where I think one of them that comes to mind was, I believe it was Corey Haim. When he died, everybody was just quick to say, oh, he died of a drug overdose, and it turned out he actually had a heart condition or some problem with his heart, and that's how he really died when the autopsy reports came out. But it was just now because it gets around, word like that gets around so fast and so quickly, everybody just sticks to that as the original story, that by the time the truth comes out, either nobody cares or they've already got it set in their minds that this is what it is. So that's kind of the downfall about social media and the way that we receive news these days. It's just one person can make an offhanded comment or just assume something, and it spreads like wildfire, and before you know it, that's gospel truth, and that's
right. I was talking to my wife tonight about like that because she was talking about the Ebola thing and this and everything, and we're sending troops over there and they're going to be fighting Ebola, and I mean it's something that she had taken off Facebook, and then she looked up on another site and it come up and it said similar things. I'm like, oh, it's so easy nowadays for one person to put their blockheaded opinion on Facebook, and then it gets onto somebody who reads it and agrees with it and puts it on a blog. Well, that gives it a little more credibility because it's not Facebook, it's a blog. Well, someone from a news station, in Topeka, Kansas, in the middle of nowhere that doesn't have a story for the night, uses this blog as a resource name. Well, now it's been on a news channel, so now it's even more credible, and now the affiliate picks it up because it was on the news channel. Now it's on, Primetime News Network, and now it's real.
Right,
and it came from somebody's ass backwards idea of what they think, and when they don't do any research, don't know any better, and now
even
everybody believes
bloggers,
it.
even when these bloggers put something like a disclaimer that says this is my opinion, even that is not a deterrent because people believe what they want to believe. Even if they read something saying this is my opinion, they're going to take that and, well, so-and-so said this, so it must be true, or they wouldn't have this opinion if it wasn't rooted in truth somewhere along the way. So,
exactly.
I don't know. It's just very sad, and I just hope for his family's sake that he did not die of drugs. But as you said, Thunder, even if he did, I think at this time his family does deserve the respect to be able to grieve in peace and not have this shit down their throats and everybody. Because I've seen such rude comments on YouTube. And, well, that's like the bastion of rude comments, but just horrible things like, oh, well, fuck this druggie and he deserves to die. You don't even know him. You don't
know what he was going through. And you know what? First of all, anybody who's ready to cast judgment right here, which makes me more mad than anybody else right there. You're allowed your opinion, but you're not allowed to put your opinion and base it on somebody else's life that you don't know. You're allowed to think what you want to think. But here's the point of matter here.
That's the downfall, I think, of the society that we live in nowadays, where everybody falls back on the saying we're entitled to our opinion. And I think people take that to mean we can just say whatever we want, and that's just the way it is, and you have to deal with it whether you like it or not. And it's just, no, there is such a thing as respect. Sure, you're entitled to your opinion, but that doesn't mean you have to go around shoving it down everybody's throat all the time and being rude about it.
Here's the deal right here. Yes, in the United States of America, we have freedom of speech, but we also have freedom to be an intelligent person and learn when speech is needed and when it's not. We were in kindergarten and first grade. You learned in first grade, kindergarten, first grade, from your teacher, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. I mean, it's basic, and it's, you may call it childish, but there is a time and a place for everything. And right now, where this guy just passed away, it's his birthday, and his family's losing their mind because they just lost a child, father, husband. Give them a second and don't be a douchebag and speak up and say, oh, screw this guy. He was a drug addict. No, he was a human being that had a drug problem. And you know what? If you have a problem with that, that's your problem. But you show me that you're perfect. Anybody who wants to say something bad about another person in that aspect like that, come to my house and walk across my pool, and then I'll hear what you got to say.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it comes back to how would you like it if somebody had made that comment about someone you loved when they died. Nobody seems – and that's the thing about this whole entitled to your opinion thing. It works both ways. You can't bitch and cry when somebody says the same thing that you would say when you're being a jerk. Don't turn around and whine and complain that, oh, somebody said something mean to me, and then expect to be able to say whatever you want. It works both ways.
Okay, here's the deal. If my dad or my brother dies because of a drug overdose and you want to be a smartass about it, be sure that I'm going to come back on you and tell you, your dad deserved to die because he ate too many fucking cheeseburgers, that fat fucker.
I know, right?
Is that right? No. Look, you'd be pissed. If I went to your dad's funeral and said, look, man, that some bitch would have ate 3 or 4 less cheeseburgers, he'd still be here right now. You'd fucking lose your mind. You would lose your mind.
It doesn't help the situation is the thing. It's just even if you told them, maybe if you didn't do drugs, you'd still be alive. Well, the point is he's dead, so none of it's going to bring him back, and it's not going to make his family or friends feel any better about them being dead. Just like I remember when Ronnie James Dio passed away, his doctor came to his funeral and said to somebody, I think it was his wife, if Ronnie would have got checked out, he'd still be alive. Well, thanks for that. That just really makes me feel better.
Well, you know what? If you had told me that 4 days ago, we'd have been in a different situation right now, Cupcake. Thanks for playing.
I know,
jackass. That's exactly what I need to hear right now. This could have been prevented. A lot of things could be prevented. Yeah.
We have
my dad got run over by a car. If I'd have gone back in time.
I know Will's got one last story left, so we better get to it before our guests get here.
No, let's just we can keep on. I mean, Brian is apparently he's trying to get in. I don't know what's going on, but I mean I've gotten a couple messages from him from I guess somebody in the band or a publicist or something.
He's having issues right now. That's understandable.
Having issues trying to get in. So we can just keep going.
Well, we may as well get to the other story we were going to talk about while we're waiting.
There you go. That's right.
Okay.
I've got a story. I mean, and it's another kind of somber story, but it's this guy he was 71 years old, but he was still a great influence in the music industry. He passed away this week too. It's actually his funeral's tomorrow. Anybody any guesses?
I know he was a bass player, right?
He was a bass player. Jack Bruce.
Oh, we're not talking about Jack Bruce?
Yes, we are.
Well, he was a bass player. That's what I said.
Yeah, Jack Bruce from Cream. And, I mean, Cream is one of those, I mean, of their day, they were, kind of a superstar band to me, too. You take, like Eric Clapton, and Jack Bruce was known for, being one of the, not entrepreneurs, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think of the word right now. My sometimers is killing me here. But, I mean, bringing in that style of, that kind of rock bass. And,
Virtuosity? Virtuosity?
That'll work. But, yeah, I mean, bringing in, that style of rock bass. And, I mean, to play with Eric Clapton, some of the people he's played with, and he wasn't just a bass player. He played many different instruments. And he was just a great musician. And it's kind of cool that they're doing a semi-private funeral for him. But his family. Now, this is how, you should handle someone's death. I mean, either way. They're like, look, we're going to do a private funeral, semi-private funeral, but we want you guys to show up outside and cheer him on as he arrives because he always loved big crowds.
Oh, that's very cool for his fans and for everybody who wants to say goodbye to him.
Right. It's, the family's not shutting everybody out and, this, that, and the other thing. Like, look, we're not going to do a huge funeral where everybody can come say their goodbyes to him, but what we want you to do is this is where we're having a funeral. This is the time. Be outside, man, cheer him on, say goodbye to him in your way, that way. And, just be a part of this thing right here because he always loved being a performer. And, let's kind of send him off with a hurrah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really sad.
I just thought it was really cool the way that they're handling that situation.
Yeah, that is. I think more rock star funerals should be like that for the fans to say goodbye to the, because even though they don't know these people, I think a lot of people who listen to music do feel a connection with the person, especially if the music is something that resonates with them on a personal level. That a lot of people do get upset when celebrities or musicians in particular when they die because they feel like they've lost a friend or somebody who's connected to their own personal memories. Because I remember where I was when I was listening to this song, or this song brings back memories of this, or
right. When I got my first car, when I turned on the radio, the first cassette I put in was so and so. This guy,
right.
It's just and you do have a connection with those. I heard a radio DJ talking the other day, and he's a talk radio guy, and he was talking to one of his listeners that calls in all the time, and he's like, "Look, I've never met you face to face. I don't know what you look like." But we've talked on and off on this radio show for 20 years, and I feel I know you as well as I know my children. We have a connection. If I saw you, pass by each other in Walmart or in the mall, I would have never known who you are. But I know you in this way, and that's we have that connection. And he was talking about listeners that had passed away or, hadn't called in a while. And that's what he was talking about. You do, and you have that connection with, musicians and with, some actors or whatever. I mean, you just have, you feel like you know them through the art that they've done.
Right, or you feel like they know you or understand you because they write a lyric that resonates with your life or connects you on a personal level and gets you through a tough time, or something that comes in your life when you needed it, whether happy or sad. This is the song I was listening to the day my kid was born, or this is the song that I met my wife, or whatever, the song we danced to at our wedding, or whatnot.
This is the first song that me and my son played guitar together with. This is the first song I taught my son on guitar. Little things like that. And they do it, and you're like, oh, man, so now you have that emotional connection to that person without even knowing them. And so, I mean, it is. You're right. It is sad sometimes.
Yeah, it really is. So yeah, I mean, I think that's really cool that they're allowing the fans to say their goodbyes and to kind of, in their own way, grieve, really, to get it out, to get their feelings out for this person, because he was alive for a long time, so obviously had a body of work over the years, whether with Cream or with other bands. I'm not really familiar with other stuff he's done besides Cream. I don't know if he's been in any other bands, but I'm sure that he did not just sit on his laurels over the last 40, 50 some odd years since he was in Cream. So, and even if that was all he ever did, they were a highly influential band. So.
He did a bunch of other stuff, and he did a lot of copulation stuff with other people, some jazz works and things, all different kinds of things like that. And they throw together, Eric Clapton and not Robert Plant, but top-notch musicians, and they do a couple songs here. And he still played quite frequently, but his biggest thing he's known for definitely is Cream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool. Very sad that he passed away.
Well, I mean, there's a big difference. 71's a lot better than 48 by far. Don't get me wrong here, but I mean, I just wanted to throw it out there because of the way the family was handling it. As we were talking how some people are handling different situations. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, actually, I mean, it is 71. At least he's lived a nice long life, and I mean, sadly, the whole thing with Wayne, we'll never get to know what he might have been capable of, because a lot of people may not know that Wayne was actually his very first band. He was in a band with Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins, and I heard a lot of the stuff that they did together, and it's just, God, if this is the kind of stuff you were doing before Static X, then this is just a small piece of what you're capable of. God, what he could have done over the years as he matured as an artist or whatnot, and we'll never get to know. And that's the tragic thing about these musicians that die so young, that we never get to know the potential of what they might have done if they kept going.
Well, that's the other thing that people don't, and also the death subject, but that's something that a lot of people don't take into credit for some of the musicians they listen to. What they're doing right now is just a stem of what they do, in their time away from the stage. I mean, I've known a lot of musicians who on stage play certain types of music with the band that they're in, but their heart and their writing styles are totally different than that. Or they've got multi-facets of music that they really enjoy playing. And it's nice. I mean, it's what I like is when you see some of these spin-off bands from, these big bands, and you're expecting, okay, well, this is what they play, and it comes off totally different. I love that because it shows the facet and, the minds right there. And a lot of people do. I mean, they just stereotype everybody in a certain place and like, oh, well, that's the only thing that you're going to do.
Actually, to me, that's one of my biggest pet peeves about artists that go solo, is when they put out a solo record that sounds exactly like the band they just left, because it's just, why?
Right.
Why are you going solo if you're just going to keep doing the same stuff that you are doing already? I don't understand. I love when somebody goes solo and puts out something completely different than what they are known for in their band. I think that's why why I really liked Jeff Tate's first solo album, not so much Kings and Thieves, but because to me that was where he wanted to be musically, and it was very un-Queensryche. It was more light rock, more mellow, jazzier, bluesier type stuff, but I really liked it because it was different from what I was used to hearing him in, and I liked that.
And I do too. I like that where you hear a different side of somebody right there. And because I know me as a person, I don't like just one type of music.
No, me either.
And I don't want to, when I was playing, you don't want to just play one style of music. And, I mean, I understand when you're making an album, you want some cohesiveness. And when you're in a band and you do multiple albums, you want to have some cohesiveness for your fans and your fan base because you want them to recognize who you are. But I also respect bands that throughout time do evolve and the sound changes a little bit because, you know what, if I want to hear the same songs over and over again, I'll buy the one album and I can play those over and over again.
Yeah, I think AC/DC is really the only band that can get away with doing the same thing over and over and people accept it. I think with most music, most people want their bands to evolve. As much as people bitch and complain about, oh, this doesn't sound like album number 3 or whatever their popular album is.
They're sellouts.
I think deep down most people want bands to do something else because when they don't, then it's the same complaint on the other end. Well, you're just doing the same stuff you've always been doing. Why should I bother buying a new record? And
all right.
Nobody's ever happy, but...
Will, you still there somewhere, buddy?
I know. Did the aliens get you?
I guess they did, because he is nowhere. There he is.
Brian Vollmer is having issues. I don't know what's going on. I'm talking back and forth with somebody, I guess their publicist, but we're trying to get him on. I've never had this issue come up before with the guest line, but apparently he's not able to get through for some reason.
Do you think it's the same issue that we had that disconnected us before the show?
That is possible.
It might be. There might be some technical difficulties going on through the show itself.
But
well, I hope Pamela was able to get in too.
I hope they're both able to get in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right. Everybody.
Well, you had another news story to talk about, did you not?
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was going to have you kind of lead into it more, but you're a little bit busy. But this is another Queensryche-related story. The actual Queensryche, not Jeff Tate doing something else, but Queensryche themselves actually just announced that they're doing a pledge music campaign, which is kind of like a Kickstarter. And the big story that's circulating right now is one of the things they have offered on the list is if you give $50,000, you get a share in the company. And, of course, everybody, you know how, again, coming back to what we were just talking about, you take one thing out of a story or out of a situation and it blows up into this thing where, you know, they're money-hungry bastards and they want you to give $50,000. It's just, well, that's just one of the things they're asking for. You know, there are other things on the pledge music campaign that you can buy. It's just, you don't have to make the $50,000 investment.
Right.
You can buy the T-shirt, which is what I was planning to do.
Right. You know, and the pledge starter campaign thing right there. You know, what it's doing. I mean, you have to understand. I mean, there's levels to everything, and charities of, you know, especially like with charities, there's levels of things that you can do. Like if they have a charity dinner for some, you know, some organization or what have you. Yes, they have seats that are $50,000 to sit down and eat dinner. They also have ones in the back of the room, or you can just give a contribution of $10 and get a pin. You can do what you want to do. You don't have to do these things. They're just options right there. And I mean, look, they're not sitting here going, look, man, we're not putting out another album until we get about 27, 30, maybe $50,000, you know.
Right.
It's not like
I mean,
that.
there's other things on there, and the thing I didn't like about the pledge thing had nothing to do with the $50,000. I just don't like the way pledge music is set up. I would have rather that they went with Kickstarter because with Kickstarter you can kind of bundle the things that you want to buy. For example, when I backed a Sound of Thunder, there was certain increments. If you give X amount of dollars, then you get so many things included in your bundle. And with pledge music, it's just one thing. $30, you get the shirt, and that's it. Well, also a digital download of the album. And don't get me wrong, I like digital downloads, but I want a physical copy of the CD. Like when I backed the Sound of Thunder for Kickstarter, I gave, I think, $40 or somewhere in that range, and I got a T-shirt, a signed CD, and my name in the liner notes. So that was all part of the bundle. So that was really cool, and I like that because it's something I could afford, and everyone who knows me knows that I collect band T-shirts the way that other women collect shoes and purses. That's my thing that I do. I was mostly in it for the shirt.
That, my friend, is why you are a part of the Will and Thunder show, because you are so rock and roll right there. You don't need any Prada shoes or Prada purses. Give me a rock T-shirt. That's what I'm talking about. That's why we love you.
Thank you. Well, you know, I mean, I at one point I had people asking me, have you ever made a list of all the shirts you have? And I do have a file somewhere on my computer, and I think at the time that I last updated it in like 2011, I think I was up to 75 different bands of shirts that I had. So, and that was, I think that was a small estimate, and I hadn't really gone through everything. So I have a lot of band T-shirts.
That is so impressive. It's ridiculous.
Well, thanks. You know, I mean, I love the artwork, and I just, you know, I'm not really a girly girl who goes around wearing dresses and shit like that. I like comfortable clothes, so it's just, why not wear something comfortable that has nice art, and it's also a conversation piece. You know, it's just, it's a good way to find if you can make a mutual friend or meet somebody that has good taste in music.
That's right.
Usually somebody who says, I like your shirt, you know, they listen to that music, and it's all good. But yeah, I mean, this pledge campaign thing is really cool, but I kind of wish they would have went with Kickstarter just because I don't like that I have to pay, if I want a signed CD, I have to pay $25 for it. And then if I want a shirt, too, I have to pay $30 for that as well. Because it's
there's no combinations, no choices.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing.
Yeah, I don't like that you can't mix and match, which is what I like about Kickstarter.
Right.
That I don't want a set thing of, like, this is all I can get. I want to be able to say, well, I don't like this, so can I swap it for that? And anything that's within that price range. But, I mean, some of the prizes that are available for the higher tax bracket people out there, a couple of them is one of Michael Wilton's guitars, one of Eddie Jackson's guitars. I think there's one there where a day of golf with Eddie or a day hanging out with Queensryche in the studio while they're making the album. And then a couple for a little bit pricier but not for, per se, rich people, tickets to their album release party when it comes out. And so there's something for everybody. There's something for every price range. And the $50,000 thing is, obviously it's there listed, but there are other things people can buy. I don't think the band is forcing everybody, you've got to buy a stock in our company to get the new album.
Right. Well, it's like I've been to restaurants before that, as a joke on the top of their menu, you can get a hot dog and a bottle of Dom Perignon for $101. And you know what? Everything else on the menu you can get as well. You don't have to buy the hot dog and a $100 bottle of wine right there. It's it's kind of one of those things that's out there, and I'm sure people have done it just to show off or what have you. This is just their way of getting things rolling and getting the band on track. And you know what? Here's some options for you guys. Be a part of this. And it's kind of cool how that's come and evolved, because before it was just hitting the street, then hitting up the different clubs or what have you. Look, man, we're trying to put an album together for you guys. Believe in us, we're here every weekend. You want to support us a little bit, or going to the music companies and going, look, man, all we use is PV guitars. You want to throw us a little bit, for our album? We'll throw you, your logo on there. And this has been going on for years. It's just a neat way that the fans themselves can be a part of it. Look, you know what? Yeah, I went and bought this CD and T-shirt, through Bandcamp or what have you, and my $50 went into their album.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, we talked a little bit about this with the Sound of Thunder when they were on the show, but I noticed that there's a lot of the older people of the older mind frame about how music should be done are not really. I don't know if they don't understand the way that these programs work, or they just aren't understanding how it is, but they're just like, well, I don't believe in paying the band to make a record. And it's just, well, actually what you're doing is, as we mentioned with the Sound of Thunder, you're eliminating the whole middleman that is the record label. To me, right. I mean, I'm giving money to the band anyway when I buy a record, so if you think that you're not paying the band to make a record, then I like some of what you're smoking, because, you know what I mean?
And I mean, I understand it, but and people do this, all the time. I mean, in different avenues, and they have websites all over the place where entrepreneurs can go and do the same thing and try and get their company. They have startup websites all the time. Like, look, this is my idea. If you believe in it, be a startup for me. Be that person that, you get so much % in my company for so many years, and that's your payback. Or you can just give for nothing or whatsoever. I mean, there's all different kinds of things out there that do the same thing. What makes it different? Because it's music. And as you said, in music, you do it anyway.
Yeah, and I think what the old school mind frame of people are not understanding is that, this is the wave of the future. This is, that we don't live in a world anymore where record labels are king. I mean, even though the band is signed to a record labels ain't what they used to be. They're not the almighty end-all, be-all that they once were. And even record labels need somewhat of a push these days to keep their bands going. And a lot of these programs are not because the band is per se desperate for money, but because every band is desperate for money. I mean, this isn't exactly a lucrative business anymore. And record labels just don't have the money anymore to front an album like they used to. So a lot of bands have no other alternative but to go this route. And I think that this is a cool way for the fans to get involved. And to me, to my way of thinking, this eliminates a lot of the pressure that record labels put on these bands to make the kind of album that they think will make them back money. Because if the bands are investing directly into the band, then we're the record label essentially. And we're telling them with our investment, we're telling them with our investment, hey, we believe in your product. Go make the album you want. And we're just going to sit back, and if you meet your quota, then we get a bunch of cool stuff. If you don't, then the album doesn't get made, and we lose nothing. And, it's win-win, basically.
And a lot of people also... Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Will.
I've got Brian's number. I'm going to try and call him from the show and see if we can get him on the line that way. So we're going to try that right now. And here we go.
Yeah.
Hi, who's that? This is Will from the Will and Thunder Show.
Hi.
Yay, we have you.
Was I phoning the wrong number or what?
I don't know what was going on, but I mean we got you now.
Well, so, I noticed the number here is one digit different. I just noticed. But when I was phoning the other number, but when I phoned 6136, a voice came on and said you're phoning too early for the show.
Wow, that's really weird because Thunder and I had some technical difficulties right before the show started, so we're just wondering if Blog Talk Radio is
the number I had was 646-716-6136, and when I phoned that, it was a radio station. Or it said, you're phoning too early for the interview. Phone back in 15 minutes. I kept phoning and phoning. I kept getting the same recording. Going, what the hell's going on?
That's weird.
That is super weird. Anyway, try the number after I get off and see what's to it. So you don't take a blow of smoke up your ass.
So.
Yeah.
Well, welcome into the show, brother.
Yeah, welcome.
Nice to be here. It's been a crazy month.
Yeah, you guys were on tour in Germany. How many dates did you guys do, and how?
Well, more than Germany. We went to Switzerland, Sweden, Finland, and Norway. We started off in Munich, and then we went to Uster, Switzerland. We had a sold-out show there, and then back to Lichtenfels, Germany, Nuremberg, and then I got pneumonia, and we were supposed to be in Hamburg on the Wednesday, but we blew that show out. We drove straight to Sweden, and we played Sandvik and Trollhättan, and then Helsingborg, beautiful city. We played on a boat there down at the harbor. It didn't sail anywhere. And then we had to drive overnight back to Stockholm. We flew to Helsinki, and we had a great show in Helsinki on the Tuesday, then back to Stockholm on the Wednesday. Played there, and then we had a day off to drive to where the heck was it, Jönköping, Sweden, and then we ended up in Gjerdrum, Norway, and flew home by way of Iceland.
Oh wow!
Wow.
And how long was
you call it days off to drive? That's not much of a day off, is it?
No, driving really isn't a day off, especially when you got 12 guys in a tour bus and luggage piled up in the aisles, and you're swaying back and forth, and you go to walk down the aisle and you get thrown all over the place.
Wow. Rock and roll.
It's rock and roll. People have no idea though what it's like when you're out there. Like I constantly get in this discussion with my wife, and she said, "Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" And I go, "You have no idea, honey.
Right.
There isn't room to sniff."
That's right. You're sharing one bathroom with 12 guys on one bus. It's not as much fun as it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not only that, but
I do not envy your life at all. The life that you guys live on the road, I do not envy that at all. I know.
Well, the thing about Europe too is that a lot of people think that tour bus is really comfortable, which it is, but it also presents other problems. It's very difficult to get to the actual engagement because the streets are so small over there. The bus was like 22 tons, and in Hamburg, Germany, not only did I get pneumonia, but we went down to the club on the Monday. We drove 7 hours to get there from Nuremberg, and it was right down the Reeperbahn where they have all the sex shows and prostitutes and drugs and everything else.
And you have to make it fun, right?
Well, we couldn't even stop in front of the club. It was impossible with the bus. And then we got down little side streets where we couldn't turn the bus around a corner. And finally, we ran into a dead end, and the cops had to get us out. Meanwhile, there's drug dealers chasing our bus. It sounds kind of Spinal Tappy, but I think every band goes through this stuff. And
just gonna say that.
That's
the type of stuff you remember.
Because we have a segment here on our show where we ask everybody we interview what is their favorite Spinal Tap moment, or what is a Spinal Tap moment that you've had, and you just mentioned yours, so now we don't have to ask you.
Well, that was one of them. There's lots of them, believe me. They're reoccurring. But that's what it's like on the road, and you don't have a lot of time to replan things. You try to plan things out, but things constantly change when you're out there, and so you have to change your plan on the fly. And that's part of surviving out when you're out there.
But, a lot of people look at, old MTV and see all the glamour and the glitz of everything, being a rock star and, all the girls and the fun and the rock and roll and the drugs. Oh, this is great. They don't see the hard work that gets involved into it. And as you said, just the day-to-day, things can change in a heartbeat. You can have one flat tire, and it takes 6 hours. You got, as you said, 22,000 pounds on a bus right there, and you're going through streets that are made for cars that are, Volkswagens.
Yep.
That's correct. We had a post the day before, too, which didn't help matters either.
wow. I was actually a tour manager.
Over the course of 3 weeks, that bus had a steel post to put a gouge in the front corner panel. The bus driver ran over a parking meter at one point in Stockholm and bruised the tire. For the last 3 days, when you'd be laying in your bunk late at night and you could hear the sound of the tire going, I wonder if it's going to blow.
You just wait.
Oh,
Say,
my
am I
God.
going to be a headline tomorrow? Am I going to be a headline tomorrow? You hear that tire right there? That's horrible.
We had a lot of fun on the tour, though. Saw a lot of great sights. I met a lot of great people. Fans over there are, 110%. They bring out every CD, every record album, posters, pictures from back when, and they even fly in from other countries. When we played in Finland, they came in from Russia, 3 hours on the train. So a lot of good memories. The other stuff you just laugh at, and that's the stuff you kind of remember when you look back on things. That's what makes it so cool is the adventure. It may be Spinal Tap moments, but I'd rather have Spinal Tap moments than have a boring, everyday, humdrum 9-to-5 life.
That's right. That's right.
It's exciting. My life changes on a daily basis. My life changes on a daily basis, and we see things in this band that people only dream of seeing. We get to go to all different parts of the world, have all sorts of different experiences. It was a lot of good times, shit and giggles.
That's right. And on top of that, you get to do what you love every day or every other day, and throw some music out to your fans. Playing music. I mean, I'm a musician myself here, and I just know that feeling of, just being able to play your stuff and hang out with your guys. I mean, there's nothing like it in the world. And to be able to make a living doing that, it makes all that little minuscule stuff well worthwhile, doesn't it?
It sure does. And we had a great opening band in Humbucker, and they were on the same label as us. They were from Norway, and just a great bunch of guys. And Gear, who played drums for the band, helped me translate in a lot of situations and just helped me communicate with people and basically tour manage the tour. So I owe a lot to them, and especially to Gear.
Awesome. What was the name of the band?
Humbucker.
What an awesome
great band. Got 2 great albums out too. Really good rock and roll band.
Well, we'll have to check that out.
We definitely will. Maybe we'll have them on the show sometime.
I'm sure they'd love to go on your show. I'm sure they'd love to go on your show.
Absolutely, anytime, man. Just we'll get in touch with them and we'll get that done.
Absolutely.
That's funny you said absolutely, because we were ribbing Gear towards the end because everything we said he goes absolutely. It's like a phrase. It's like a phrase in Norway that everybody uses. So we went into, I believe it was a restaurant or something like that, and everything we ordered, everybody was going, absolutely. It's like pickles on that, absolutely. So for you to say absolutely when referring to Humbucker, I find that ironic.
That's funny.
One of my favorite sayings, though.
It sounded like
yes,
you
sir.
just said, I find that erotic, and I was going to start laughing.
Well, that too, coming from you.
No,
ironic.
I know, but...
We got home, and I teach bel canto. I taught all week long, and then we played last Friday down in Cambridge for a Halloween party, which went over great. And we don't play this weekend, but next weekend we're in Vancouver. And then we're in Calgary the weekend after that, and then we come back to Ontario to end off the year in Brantford with the toy drive for my friend Brett Davidson at the Army and Navy Club in Brantford, and then at the Masonic Temple up in Stratford for my good friend Tom Wachikowski.
Oh, very cool.
Are there any plans to tour the U.S.?
It's very difficult to get into the U.S. We're always, throwing feelers out there and putting our line in the water, so to speak. But you need a great deal of money to go down there just for the simple fact that you're putting so much extra work into going through the work permits, which are very strenuous to get in the United States.
Right.
And you had to put so much money down. You had to apply 3 months ahead of time. Then you get into paying state taxes up front, so you have to go through more paperwork. And I think they purposely do that to prevent you from playing in the United States.
I believe that.
It makes me
I've complained to the union. I've complained to my member of parliament. I've complained to everybody that listen, musicians union, and nobody seems to do anything. It's a very unlevel playing field between Canada and the United States. You got to remember something, that there's probably as many places to play in Ohio and Pennsylvania as there is in all of Canada. So we have like 1,000 miles between cities, which puts us at a disadvantage just because of the money spent on travel expenses that you don't have in the United States. American musicians come up and play Canada with very little time required to apply ahead of, and it's like $200. It's ridiculous. Meanwhile, if I want to go play in the United States, if I slow track, which means apply 3 months ahead of time, which is really 3.5 months ahead of time if you want to be on the safe side, you pay $375 US. But if you want to fast track it within 3 months, add another $1,000. Then you got to go through paperwork for each individual person, the band, their passport, pictures of their passport, pictures of the musician's union card. You can't. You have to have a date every 30 days for a year to keep it open for a year. Now think about that. You're applying 4 months ahead of time, and then you have to have gigs that stretch a year farther than that, 16 months in advance. Who does that? The answer is nobody.
Nobody.
Well, even that isn't a guarantee that it'll go through, because I remember when Nightwish first toured here in the U.S., they had to cancel their first 3 shows because the visas didn't show up on time, and they applied for them. I remember they had their tickets on sale like 9 months in advance before the tour.
I know other people that happen to do it.
Right.
So
it's just even if they go a year before, there's still no guarantee that they're going to get those visas on time, which is fucked up.
That's right. It's a blackmail tactic. Like they let it run right up till, like you're sweating it, wondering if it's going to come, and then a lot of bands just cough up the extra $1,000 because they don't want to cancel a gig. It'll ruin future dates.
Right.
Right.
And you also can't do add-ons. If you're down there, say Helix was in St. Louis, and I don't know, Vince Neil canceled in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and they wanted Helix to do the gig. We couldn't do it. We'd have to go reapply all over again, and there wouldn't be enough time for us to do that. So basically it means we wouldn't be able to do the gig, which is ridiculous.
Really? That's insane to me. I didn't realize that it was that difficult for bands
I know a lot of bands that have given up on playing. I know a lot of Canadian bands that have given up playing in the United States, and just for the simple reason that they're trying to make it so hard. I know that Kitty doesn't go down there anymore.
And see, they used to come here, the town where I live, they used to come here like every other year. And now now come to think of it, they never come anymore.
And I've heard from other bands, I won't mention names because I don't know if they want me mentioning their names, but they've told me that they couldn't care less about playing in the United States because it's such a hassle. Like, time is money in this business. For me to go through 2 weeks of organizing paperwork and then pay money up front with no guarantees I'm going to get what I'm applying for, and then they finally get that and go down and get hammered with state taxes. So they take, some places take 1/3. Well, after I pay for my flights, my band wages, my transport, all the other expenses I got, where do I make money?
That's just insane.
That's right. In other words, don't come here. That's the message.
I'm telling you, it's a conspiracy. I'm telling you, it's a conspiracy to keep metal out of the U.S.
Right, exactly. And I'm glad that you told us about this and kind of opened our eyes, because this is something we don't know about. As lovers of, especially the metal style music here, which is 90% overseas right now. That's where it's all happening at. You can't even get the bands over here to see them because we're being so hard-headed and money hungry about the whole idea. So bureaucratic about the whole thing, and that's not the way things should be done, and especially the way that we speak of our America right here, and with us not knowing about these things right here. Look, this is something that we can really get behind and spread the word about too, because that's ridiculous.
Well, I think they use the excuse that it's security since 9/11, right? But when you think about it, like you take add-ons, for instance, where you can't do a date if a date comes up while you're down there. Well, if I'm not a terrorist this Tuesday, why would he be a terrorist next Tuesday? That's my argument.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You take a band like Helix. We've been playing in the United States now for, at least 30 years.
Right.
It's the 40th anniversary of the band. I believe we were playing places like Rochester at the Penny Arcade and Lockport at the After Dark Club in like 1977 or something. We've been playing in the United States that long, so...
Yeah, you'd think you would build up a reputation by this point, or, like, I don't know, build up frequent flyer miles or something on the American
that doesn't happen. Sorry.
I know,
That's
right?
not the reality.
That's messed up.
Well,
You think there'd be some sort of they'd implement something like that, though.
And the thing is, I love playing the United States. I sincerely love the United States and love playing down places like Texas, Florida, well, anywhere, California. We toured extensively through the United States in the 80s. We started off, our first tour was at Molly Hatch and Blackfoot, and that fell apart after 3 dates, and we ended up on the Another Perfect Day tour with Motorhead, and we did several Motorhead tours, 3 or 4 tours with Heart. We played down there with Meatloaf. We toured with Crocus and Wasp, with Whitesnake and Quiet Riot all across the U.S., except in Kiel. Played with Motley Crue, Y&T, Mama's Boys, you name it, for years. We played more in the United States than we played in Canada, but nowadays that's the big impediment. It's just the time and the money spent to try to get down there.
Right.
Yeah, that isn't right.
We had a guest on a couple months ago that they know you. I was wondering if you know them. Do you remember the band Overlord, Keeper of the Flame?
Where would I know them from?
Oh, they said they played a few shows with you back in the day.
Maybe.
Their song was called Keeper of the Flame, and they're back together again, trying to getting ready to release a new album, start touring again. So.
What city are they from?
Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Oh yeah. We played down there quite a bit.
Yeah, they were really cool guys. And he mentioned, he's probably listening right now. He mentioned that he was excited to hear you on the show. So.
Well, even though we don't play down in the United States a lot, we still go down there to visit my wife and I quite a bit. We have friends in Florida and friends in Arizona. So last spring, for instance, we went down and we were in Fort Myers and went and seen Stet Holland, who used to play drums for Wasp. Now he's in 4 by Fate. And then we go up to Nico McBain's restaurant in Coral Beach.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah, Fort Myers is a beautiful area down there.
Yeah, Coral Beach is on the other side, over by Fort Lauderdale.
I lived outside of Fort Myers for a little while. Will and I are originally both from Florida. So, but yeah, I
love
lived there
Florida.
Cape Coral area, Fort Myers. I mean, it's beautiful. Sanibel Island, all that's beautiful, beautiful area.
Yeah. We go down to the Keys and see our friend Tate Thibodeau. He's the half-brother of the kid that played Little Ricky Ricardo in the Lucille Ball show, which I think is pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah,
he's also Opie's friend and Andy Mayberry.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Like Tate lets us use his house down in the Keys, Key West. I love Key West.
So you guys just put an album out in this year, right here, Bastard of the Blues?
Bastard of the Blues was released in May, doing really well for us at Paris Records. And we toured extensively this year, more so than previous years. We went over to Spain for 3 dates. There was 11 in the last European tour, but we've also played right across Canada. We started off at the Casino in Moncton, New Brunswick, right back in January, and during the summer we were out in Western Canada and up in Northern Ontario. We played down Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We did do one American date at Ribfest in Sioux Falls, and it was with April Wine, Honeymoon Suite, and Loverboy. It was like a Canadian Invasion Day type of deal. That was a great gig.
That's cool. Now, is it the same thing? If you were doing, like, festival gigs and stuff like that, do you have to go through the same process there of, like, promoters trying to put together, like, a festival and want you guys in there? Can someone from the U.S. request you guys to come in and play? And is it easier to get in that way? Or is it still...
No, you still have to apply for the U.S. work permits. You still have to go through the whole work permit thing, and you have to apply 3 months ahead of time.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you could just come up from the southern border and nobody would bother you.
Mercy.
So let's go ahead and play that song. from the new album. You want to tell us a little bit about that track, Even Jesus?
Even Jesus is basically a reflection on where we're at as a band here in our hometown. We go all over the world and we do quite well. Then we come back home and we can hardly get a date in our hometown, which we don't really care about anymore because we're going around the world. So,
right.
But that's what the song's about.
Very cool. Well, let's go ahead and play that, and we'll come back. We've got Miss Pamela Moore is on the line now. We're going to be bringing her on here in a few minutes. Do you know her? Have you ever met her?
No, I haven't. But I got to get going anyway, so.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you for being on the show with us.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad we finally hooked up.
Yes, and thanks for enlightening us a little bit on the situation of how it is for you guys outside the U.S. You guys are producing unbelievable music, and it can't be showcased in a country like this. That's ridiculous to me. But thanks for putting that out there for us, and thanks for being on the show.
Well, I still get tons of mail from the United States, and I communicate with our fans whenever they buy something on our website, which is, by the way, planethelix.com. Whenever someone buys a CD, T-shirt, whatever it is, I always email them back personally. And the band's done that since day one. We've always had that connection with our fans, and we've taken time with our fans, and that's very important to us. Being kind of an underground band, so. We continue to do that today.
That's awesome, man, because, the fan base, that's what keeps things going, in the financial end right there. And for you to be a part with them and not just keep it on like, just buy our CD, but be a part of, come be a part of our family, we want to personally thank you. That's stand up to do right there. That's awesome.
That's us.
Well, thanks again for being on the show, and we're going to play that song out. And thanks once again, man.
Thanks for having me. Have a great night.
You too, man.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is Even Jesus Wasn't Loved in His Hometown by Helix, and we'll be right back on the Will and Thunder Show with Miss Pamela Moore.
I don't make much money, but I'm living the life. Rubbing shoulders with the best. From the USA to Spain, I've had my share of fame. But Stockholm, May, I'm not impressed. I don't worry, I'm in good company. Just me and the man from Galilee. 'Cause even Jesus was in love in his hometown. Even Jesus was in love. Even Jesus was in love in his hometown. I've been making tracks when the sun goes down. I don't think it's funny, yeah, but what can you do? Except to go and fix our skin and grab your hoochie mama jet up to the Bahamas and go out and play in the standard surf. I can see the green with jealousy. I try not to take it too personally. But even Jesus was in love in his hometown. Even Jesus was in love. Even Jesus was in love in his hometown. Even Jesus was in love. Even Jesus was in love in his hometown. Even Jesus was in love. Even Jesus was in love in his hometown. They love to tell you up just to tear you down. I never run up on it and I want you to know I don't mind. There's a whole lot of me waiting when the ambulance go. I'll be on that plane before the sun goes down. Bye, 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 bye. So long. Sayonara. Cause even Jesus was in love in his hometown. Even Jesus. No. Even Jesus was in love in his hometown. even Jesus. Even Jesus wasn't loved in his hometown. Even Jesus wasn't loved and loved and loved. Even Jesus wasn't loved in his hometown. Even Jesus. Not even Jesus wasn't loved in his hometown. Even Jesus wasn't loved and loved and loved. Even Jesus wasn't loved in his hometown. So how we make the tracks when the sun goes down.
All right, welcome back to the Will and Thunder Show. That, of course, was Even Jesus Wasn't Loved in His Hometown by the legendary Helix. And
Man, that was pretty intense.
yeah, that's a pretty cool song. And yeah, technical difficulties, Spinal Tap moments, that's what the Will and Thunder Show is all about. But we're not going to waste any more time. We have with us the lovely Miss Pamela Moore. How you doing?
Am I here? Am I on?
You are.
You are here. You are part of the show. Welcome on in.
Hi,
How's
Pammy.
it going? Hi, who am I talking? Who is who now? Oh my goodness. There's even an audience.
Yeah, that's our live studio audience.
That's awesome. God, there must be a million. So who am I talking to? Which person is which here?
I'm Will.
It's Chris from Sonic Cathedral.
Oh, hi. That's you.
Hi.
I was wondering about that. Yeah, I was wondering who the female, that gorgeous voice was over there, and then who is it, Will, and who is it, Thunder?
I am Thunder, yes.
Hi, Thunder. You've got the thunderous voice, I can tell. There you go.
Thank you very much. And you have the angelic voice.
Thank you. I don't know how angelic my part was that I've played all these years, but it's pretty cool. I like that. I'll take it. So how's things been going for you guys today? Did you go out and vote?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Went out and voted in our district today.
Oh,
see how
okay.
things end up in the morning, and we can see how things pan out.
Yeah, there you go. I know. I've been actually coaching all day, so I just got done here. And thanks for making that whole thing work out for me. I was really excited about chatting with you tonight, and I was like, I don't want to be late. I don't want to be late. And
then you get here and we're late.
I know.
That's right.
Okay, though. That's good.
Yeah, we were
I'm
having
usually
technical
helping
difficulties.
Yeah, that's what happens with these technology. Technology is something that we're living by now, and they seem to have us at, by the throat sometimes when you can't talk to people. I've had so many times when, how much do you pay for your cell phone? And it's always like, dropped calls and stuff. It's pretty maddening sometimes.
It is.
Yeah, I know, and you pay all this money for it, and it's like not that great.
And it's amazing now. I look, you look back, and when I was younger, at least, things weren't as technical, and they were so much easier, and you could handle things like simple math. I mean, you go nowadays to a restaurant or a convenience store, and if the computer's down, they can't make change. And I work in a restaurant myself, and I'm a bartender, and so I do things, just in my head all the time. And some of these, I'm going to say kids I work with, they have no clue what's going on. If the power flickers one time, they're like, oh, everybody print your checks. That way you know how much. All you have to do is read and do simple math. It's okay, slow down.
I know, that's probably true, because now it just tells you how much money you have to give them, right? So they just have to count it out. And before, I remember when I was a kid, my mom was always trying to show me how to count out the money, and I had a horrible time until it finally snapped into place, I'm like, wait a minute. So all these kids got it easy,
Exactly. I'm surprised the computers now don't break it down to give them one $1 bill, one $5 bill, 2 quarters, a nickel, and a dime. Okay, you got it now. All right.
Ouch. I hope the kids aren't looking. I have to tell you one bonehead thing for me now. I'm going to show you some things. I'm kind of along the same ways, except I know how to count out money. But the other day, I have this really great SUV. I've had it since 1999. It runs pretty well, even with, it's got some miles on it. She's showing her age, But I remember this one day, I tried to open up it has the key remote, right? And I was trying to open the key remote, and it wouldn't work. And I'm like, oh, my God, it's not working. How am I going to get in my car? Well, you got to use the key. It's Oh yeah, it's a blonde moment. Like, okay.
Well, you know, and that happens to everybody, because you get so used to doing certain things, just like with your television now. Heaven forbid if you stand up and change the channel without the remote, you'll spend 30 minutes looking for the remote control instead of getting up and pushing a button.
Honestly, the way TVs are set up nowadays, they make it to where it's difficult to use the panel on the TV, to where you have to look for the remote because you don't know how to maneuver it any other way because there's all these
but
buttons.
I have a flat screen, so how would you maneuver it? Oh, I just have the on and off switch, so I'm going to have to go and look at that now. But it's just so funny because we're so used to doing it a certain way, and it's like, oh, I guess I just have to use the key for this car instead of my remote. It's just so stupid. I looked at myself and went, Pamela, what the hell? This is ridiculous. So anyway, I guess it's just kind of our brains are going a little bit soft, maybe. I don't know. Oh, well.
We're making things too easy for ourselves.
Right.
That is so. But you know what? I can see myself doing the same thing. You stand outside like, oh, my battery's dead. What do I do now? I mean, the battery in my clicker, I can't unlock the doors. Oh, wait a minute. There's a key in my hand. Wait a minute. Maybe if I put it in the key lock and open it up, it might work.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
But there's this ancient
That is so awesome.
that
I know. Well, and it kind of
yeah.
makes up for the fact that, I have with my computer and stuff, it's hard for me to, figure things out sometimes because I have an Apple computer, and I would say that I love my Mac computer. I love it, but it's not always super user friendly sometimes, especially if you don't think like a computer. So anyway,
right. Well, that's why I had children. That's why I had children, because I don't know how to use my cell phone, my computer, or my cable box. So that's why I had kids, because they know how to do it.
So that's why you have them.
I came up with a great charitable organization. You see these commercials on TV for just $0.25 a day. You can feed children. Well, I have an idea. With every cell phone and every piece of technology that comes out, instead of one of those little booklets that tells you how to do everything, send a kid with them. You feed the kid. They tell you how to use the equipment. It solves all the problems.
Oh, man.
And now, look, I guarantee you, more people would go get the kid with a cell phone than send $0.25 from those commercials. I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah, you might be right. I mean,
which is sad, but
I know a lot of my friends. I don't have children, but a lot of my friends that I see, they're holding on to this phone that it took me forever to figure out, and I still don't even use every part of my iPhone. But they're sitting there just moving it around, doing stuff. It's like they were born with this computer knowledge in their head or something. It's weird. I'm still working on that.
I literally have gone to my 11-year-old and be like, look, my phone's doing this. I can't make it stop. And I hand it to him, and like 3 seconds later, he's like,
I know, right?
They're gonna lose their opposable thumbs because you don't need them anymore because there's something to do everything you need to do, and they're just gonna have nubs so they can text and hit buttons on a phone, and dinner's gonna be cooked and everything for you. I mean, we're gonna evolve again, and we will not. Now it's like we're the only ones with an opposable thumb. No, we don't even need that anymore. It's like, get the new iPhone. You don't even need an opposable thumb.
They have apps that unlock your door and turn on your lights for you. Why don't they have one that cooks your dinner? I want that app. I want the app that cooks your meal and has it ready for you and candles and.
But don't want that. Slow down. Be careful what you ask for, because when that happens, the AMC Pacer is going to come back without wheels, and everybody's going to have to drive one of those ugly-ass cars.
I don't drive anyway, so it really doesn't matter to me.
There you go.
Hey, well, I'm a car salesman.
I got to tell you one other thing I saw today on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it, but somebody put up this video of this phone that had this game on it, and there's a toad, there's a frog on it. Did you see it? It's weird. But anyway, this person, it has something to do with a game where there's an ant, and if you catch the ant, you get points or something. It's on their iPhone or their smartphone or something. It's this toad, and it was doing pretty good because it stuck its tongue out, and it was like getting all these ants that weren't really ants. They were just the graphics that were on this game. And so it was doing pretty well. It was like winning some points, and all of a sudden the woman, because it's a female hand, she started to go move something else, and it grabbed her thumb and started taking off with it. She grabbed her own thumb and bit her thumb off practically. It was so funny though, watching this frog thinking he was going to catch this ant or something on his phone. God, I got to tell you, Facebook is becoming like such an entertaining site when people are posting all these really funny videos. Some of them aren't that funny, but most of them that I look at are really funny. It's pretty good. It's pretty entertaining for the morning when I have to do all my other work.
Yeah. Now,
the things you will find on Facebook.
Yeah,
we got off start, to a kind of a late start here, so I think we're only gonna really have time to play 2 of your songs instead of 3. So you want to go ahead and break, and we'll play "Resurrect Me," and then come. Which songs do you want us to play? I've got "Resurrect Me," I've got "Melt Into You," and I've got "Paranoia." Which one do you want us to drop?
Oh, Cole, we have to drop one of them.
We can't go into overtime? We go into overtime.
Exactly. We can go into overtime. Well, which 2 would you rather us play? Yeah, exactly. We'll do all 3. We can handle this. We can figure this out.
I think have you guys heard it? Why don't you guys make your choice? Which one do you think your audience would like?
Well, Paranoia is a single, so I would say to play that first, right? I mean,
absolutely. That's what I was thinking. The same thing.
There you go.
And before you play it, I have to say, what an honor it is to have the First Lady of Queensryche on our show on November 4th, which is actually a day mentioned in Queensryche's lyrics. So that's very awesome.
Thank you.
And yes, and we were having so much fun at the meeting. Yes, it is, and also for me, it is an honor to have Sister Mary.
Yay! There's a crowd.
Yes, today's November 4th, which is a day mentioned in Queensryche's lyrics, as Will knows, because that's his favorite Queensryche song. And we have you on our show tonight, so that's the stars were aligned.
That's awesome.
They are.
Oh, that was cool. Well, so the first one you're going to play is Paranoia then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Then let's do that.
Do you have a story that goes with it, or anything you want to throw out there for the fans listening?
For the song?
Yeah.
For the song. The album's really funny because it took me, I think probably a lot of people have already heard this before, but it took me like 4 years to get it finished. Michael and I went through a lot of different things that we had to do, and I was going through a really bad divorce and all of this stuff, so a lot of the songs have to do with stuff like that. But this one particular one I got to tell you about is that it's the one that we have a video for. And I remember it was sometime January, I think it was 2013 maybe, when we did it, and we went up to this place called Concrete, Washington, which is up really next to the foothills of the mountains. And it's a beautiful area, just beautiful, but it's this really old, dilapidated concrete building. And this building, they tried to blow it up, but it never went down, so it had these huge holes in the middle of the floors. You have to be careful of where you're going. And, it's abandoned, so there's lots of graffiti and stuff around there. It was really trippy. It was a pretty cool place to be doing this kind of spooky, weird, black and white type of, video for this song. But we had to take a generator there, obviously, because we didn't have any power. And we filmed all day. It was damp. It was really cold. And so finally we're getting close to the close-ups, and I feel like it's so cold that my bones are just like freezing. It just feels so cold that my bones were aching. And I really wanted to go home. But what was happening when we were trying to do it was getting to be dusk. It was getting to be nighttime. And so the battery that one of our videographer had, he had it in the charger. So he went ahead and he filled up the new battery. We went to go shoot, and the battery was dead. So we're like, well, that's something, because it's been charging, all day. That's weird. And so my girlfriend, who's a photographer, her battery would work for the camera. So she gave it to this person, and he put it in, and it went blank. And still, now it's getting dark, and we can't do any of the close-ups. And, all of a sudden these weird things were happening. Well, what we found out is when we finally went home that place was actually noted to be haunted. And usually when you have paranormal type of activity is going to be happening, which is just like towards the evening, they'll start draining out energy or battery energy. Things, lights will start flickering and stuff. So we were really glad that we left. And left at the time that we did. I was glad because it took me like a week to warm up. But it was a pretty interesting story, but it still was a really interesting location and stuff too. That has nothing to do with the song, but when you watch the video, you'll understand.
But it's a cool story that goes with the name of the song called Paranoia, because all this stuff was happening that made everybody kind of scared and freaked out.
That's right.
Well, cool. Let's play the song, man. I want to hear this. I love this song.
All right, this is Paranoia by Pamela Moore from the album Ressurrect Me, and we'll be right back on the Will and Thunder Show. welcome back to the Will and Thunder Show. That was, of course, Paranoia with our guest, Pamela Moore from the album Ressurrect Me. Now, this is Thunder's first time hearing the song. What did you think about that, bro?
It was fantastic, man. Never disappointed. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome. Love your voice. Love the voice. Love the voice.
Thank you. That's really nice of you. Cool. Good. That's what we want.
What's not to love?
Exactly.
So is there going to be another video from the album?
We haven't. Actually, what I've been doing right now is I just started writing for the next one because I don't want it to be another 4 more years before another one comes out. So I've just started kind of concentrating on moving forward and getting some more stuff because this album, you know, I wrote the majority of the album with Michael Posh, and we really, you know, kind of stuck together through thick and thin on the whole thing, and the what do I want to say? The response that we got was really wonderful, and it made us feel really good too. And keeping that momentum going, and you know, I love what I do, and so keeping that going for me is something that's really important for me, to always move forward and keep creating and keep writing and keep performing and stuff, because it's just something that I've always loved and I always have, and I'll keep doing it until I don't, I guess, you know. And so this whole album, as far as another video, we've been talking about doing another one. But at this point, I think I just kind of want to move forward and get some more stuff out, because this is the first time I've actually come out, you know, with barrels loaded, so to speak, doing a real kind of metal, heavier album than, you know, usually I'm known to sing with Queensryche. And an album that I put out in 2006 was a little bit more of a hard rock, more electronic album. So this new one, I really feel resonated not only just with me, but with my fan base, you know. And so I'd like to keep that kind of going. We'll see. Maybe we'll do another one. I don't know. I love doing them, but it costs money and time.
Just as long as it's not in a haunted house.
Yeah.
Well, it's been almost 2 years since that album came out, so I would think that, like you said, you'd rather save all the video making for whatever you're working on now, as opposed to this album.
Yeah, it's probably been about a year and a half. I think we released the album on Rat Pack Records, Resurrect Me. That's the name of the album. We released it in May of 2013, so it's been about a year and a half or something. So it'll be 2 years in May, and it would be really nice just to keep things moving forward and kind of keep our chops up as far as writing and stuff. But again, I mean, I guess to answer your question, and the short answer is we don't have anything on the storyboard yet for that, but we have talked to a lot of different people about it, and if that comes about, cool, you know.
Are you still based in Seattle?
Yeah, I'm sitting right here in Seattle, right?
Beautiful part of the country. I lived in Tacoma for a short while, and actually they have a great music festival there once a year down there in Seattle, right there around the Space Needle, called Bumbershoot, or they used to.
Yeah, they still do. They have Bumbershoot, and now I think they have the Hemp Fest, which is gaining popularity up here too. But yeah, they have Bumbershoot. They also have like the Bite of Seattle, which is really a big deal, and so I think I think that's more of a fall. I think that happened in September, I don't know for sure because I didn't go to it, but it's really, you know, we had a fantastic summer this year. And we even had it all the way up to like a 70-degree weather the first part of October. So, you know, I kept waiting, no, you know, don't go away. And now the leaves are changing. And I have to tell you, it's very, very beautiful. I mean, it's really pretty. But the wintertime can sometimes get a little bit like Chinese water torture or something. Cause it's
actually, I visited up there in Seattle about January, about 15 years ago. And I loved it. It was so beautiful, but we kept telling ourselves maybe next time we should visit in better weather, because there was so much we didn't get to see because it just rained so much. And, you know, we're from California. We freak out over a little rain. We get pile-ups in L.A. over little bits of rain. So we were just like, we better not do too much driving in the rain.
Yeah, you don't have any trees down there, so the trees are the ones that soak up all the rain around here, you know. But Yeah, but you know, it's just so beautiful. I mean, I've lived in different places, you know, in different parts of my eras of my life, and I always come back here. And I remember walking my little buddy, my little dog, and the air is so fresh, and it's really actually very gorgeous. But you really do have to love rain, or have a tolerance for it, or have another home somewhere where it's really nice and sunny during the rainy time.
Yeah, it's beautiful weather. I'd love to visit again sometime.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to go back. I lived there for almost a year. And, I mean, when we moved up there, it was in July, and it was 98 degrees outside. The only thing I did not realize is that the water temperature out of the spigot outside does not get above 40, 50 degrees because of Puget Sound, you know, that area, it stays cold. So I went across the street from where I lived at the time in this apartment complex to a Fred Meyer's, which nobody knows what that is, but up there they're kind of, well, you know what a Fred Meyer's is. Well, it's kind of like a Walmart, but it's got name brand stuff. And I bought my kids a baby pool. I went over to the apartment, I filled it up with water, and the kids are jumping in and out of it like it's nothing. Well, I stuck my foot in there, and it was 40 degrees, and my head was 98, and I almost had a stroke right there. I'm like, what just happened here?
Oh no!
But I mean, but I love Seattle. I mean, it was like, well, Tacoma's where I was at. But as Bumbershoot was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. They had some great local music there, great art and all that. Had a great time there. I mean, it's a beautiful area of the country right there, and I mean, it was just awesome. And it was such a change for me moving from Florida to Seattle.
Oh, yeah, I bet you it is. I mean, and especially you were here in the summer. You know, most of the places that I've lived in Chicago and I lived in New York, and I have to say that, you know, Chicago is a really pretty city. And it's nice in the spring and it's nice in the fall, but boy, oh boy, wintertime, yikes, you freeze your patootie off. And then, you know, during the summertime, it's just so humid. And I'm just not used to that. I mean, because it doesn't really get super hot around here, and it's really windy and stuff too. So, I don't know. I'm born and raised, and I'm proud to say I am, and it'll always be home for me. That's for sure.
Well, that's awesome. I would have considered living there if it wasn't so rainy, but it'd be hell on my arthritis. But other than that, though, I'd love to visit again sometime, and in the summer when it's nice and sunny and colorful. And,
yeah, because it really is pretty. We just, like I said, we really had a really nice long summer. It was pretty neat. But anyway, so.
Back to the music here. Sorry to keep detouring off that. But it's kind of nice just to talk real quick because, you know, just to get to know you on a personal level is even, you know, greater than not greater than knowing your music, but, you know, it's great, you know, to know you as a person is to know about your music. So you said you're working on your new album. You're working on material for your new album. Have you? Do you guys have any tracks you put together? Have you guys been doing any studio work?
Well, we have. What I've been doing is I usually work with, like, say, Michael. I've got a couple of guys, too, that are in the band that have shown me some stuff that's pretty interesting for me. And so what I'm doing is, like, every other week, I'll go in the studio and take these collected ideas that I have from these riffs, and we'll go ahead and put like a format or a song together, and I'll put my melody and lyric ideas on top of it, and then take it home. And usually they're either complete or they're close to it, so I can have something just to listen back and see where it's going. And I really like that process because then I have a way I can work on it on my own time. It's not like we all get together and we jam, you know. It's better for me to have riffs or some kind of format of a musical idea, and then see if that captures my attention, and then I go ahead and go, yeah, let's try this, and this is what I'm thinking of. And luckily, you know, I've got one completed song, but we're working. I think I've got about 3 or 4 that are kind of still need to be finished. The chorus needs to be done, or I have to re-sing something. So that's kind of the process I like to do. You know, I've always thought that I've cut myself short by not wanting to learn how to use Pro Tools and use the software that's available, because I probably would be able to not bother other people going, hey, you got to get me in your studio, I got this idea, you know. But I don't have a patience for it. I'd rather have somebody else be pushing the buttons so I can get into what I'm doing, you know.
Right.
So
and that's understandable. I mean, as a an artist right there, musician, you want to gather your attention towards what you're doing artistically and musically, and not on the okay, the EQ sound right on this, or let's put something together and let's get a semi-finished product. Let's get a base of what the song's supposed to be. Then we can start pushing buttons and tweak things a little bit here and there. And I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's musicians out there that do all of it, and I really am in awe of them because they've had the time. I'm so impatient about things. Here's this software I have to learn, and there might be a learning curve to it. It's like, I just want to do it. I don't have to learn how to do it. So I get really impatient with myself, and I cut myself short when I do that. But on the other hand, there's so many people that are so much better at it, So it's like, sure, I play acoustic guitar. I'm starting to, get back into it again. But would I play on something? Not unless I knew I was going to do a good job. If there's somebody else that I know can do better, shoot, go for it, because it's all about making sure that it sounds right, So I just wish I could have had the right patience and be more adapted to stuff like that. But I just, as long as I don't burn my friends out by asking them to help me all the time, then we're okay.
Well, you were working with Michael Tosh on the last album, and Brooke, I can never pronounce his last name, but are you going to work with them again on this album too, or?
I would love that. I mean, I always, whenever I'm working, I always let people know, okay, I want to do this album, so if you got anything you want me to, look at, bring it my way. And so far, some people have done that. Now, with Brooke, he's been a dear friend for a very long time, and we usually will work together, and we've written a couple of other songs that aren't really the same format as the metal, stuff, because I tend to like a lot of other genres of music, and so for me, I will always, as long as I have an opportunity to work with Brooke, I will. Will we have a song that we work together? I hope so. That would be great. But right now, it's just kind of collecting ideas and seeing what sticks, and what kind of ignites the fire underneath me, So it's not really, I'm going to set out and do this and this and this. I'd like to stay with the same program that happened because it was so successful for the album on Ressurrect Me. I would like to do that. But, if there's other opportunities that are going to even make it better, why not, And,
that was going to be my next question. Are there other musicians that you'd like to work with, or somebody that you have in mind that you haven't worked with yet for whatever reason?
There's always so many musicians out there I would love to work with. I think, things are always in the back of your head about who you'd love to work with, and there's just, I don't know if I even want to say who I'm talking about right now, who I'd be thinking about. Because on the last album, I had Ralph Sheepers do some work with me, and I've always loved working with him. He's such a great singer for Primal Fear. And, of course, Jeff Loomis is a good friend, and he did a few little things here and there on the last album and albums before. But, I think what I would like to do is as we're writing, I think that process kind of comes up. As you start hearing a song develop, things start popping in going, wouldn't so-and-so sound good on this,
So then it's probably too soon to ask. But you were on the last Queensryche album. Is there a possibility you might want to have a duet with Todd, or bring him, do something with him, or, I had to ask.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. I mean, there's always opportunities like that. I think that it's early in the game because of the fact that we're still just developing the songs. And I don't really kind of set out and say, I want to write a song so this person will sing on it. I don't really feel that way. It's all about mostly the song. And then if it's conducive to having, another singer, it'd be great to, and it would be perfect for Todd. That would be awesome. I would love that. He's a sweetheart.
I gotta interrupt. I gotta interrupt to make
the
overtime announcement. In about 3 minutes, the show is gonna stop, but don't worry. We're gonna keep on doing the show, and I'll have it up on YouTube tonight, so you'll be able to hear it in its entirety. So.
Okay.
So should we play Melton to you? Because that'll probably fit in the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that? That'd be great.
This is Melton to you, and I will have the show up on YouTube sometime tonight so that everybody can listen to it. Melton to you by Pamela Moore from the album Ressurrect Me. We'll be right back.
welcome back to the Will and Thunder Show. We are in overtime. That was Pamela Moore's Melt Into You off the album Ressurrect Me. I've got a frog in my throat.
Uh-oh. It's better than a frog biting your thumb.
It's true.
Well,
you
grab your cell phone right now. Will, grab your cell phone right now and start filming your throat. We can put it up next to the... Never mind.
We're going to put that up on our Facebook page.
It was just an idea.
Well, Pamela, when I interviewed you last year, I had asked you if there was any contact, any possibility of you maybe singing the national anthem at a Seahawks game. Is that, has anybody tried to get that to happen?
No.
And why
haven't had anybody
yet?
do that? Well, you know what? Somebody has asked me at one point to do something, and I think it was probably that I was really busy. But that's a hard song to sing. Holy crap! What if I do it and it sounds like crap?
Look. Okay, first of all, hold on a second.
It can't sound any worse than some of the people that have taken a crack at it.
I know, but here, hold on 1 second here. Have you listened to anything you've ever recorded?
I know.
I just want to know that.
Is that a trick question?
Okay. And on top of that, have you listened to Roseanne Barr sing the national anthem? If you think that there's any consistency in those two things right there, first of all, I apologize, but please seek help right now. Because there's no way in the world that I live in that they even come close together right here. That's like Miley versus Donald Trump's. All right? There's no comparison.
It's funny, though, because I remember, I guess there's been a couple of artists, too, and I would never do this. I mean, I would never do it. I have to be so prepared for it. But, I mean, I would never make a mistake, but I'm trying to say that there's been a couple of artists that, like, totally screwed up the words. It's like, how can you screw up the words? Yeah, her, and then there was some other guy that did it recently, I think. And I think, I don't know if it was, God, I hope I don't say this wrong. I hope it wasn't James Taylor, but somehow somebody kind of started off the wrong song or something, and then they caught themselves and they got back into it. But, it's a big deal.
You're out there to do, the Star Spangled Banner. You start off with America the Beautiful. You're like, all right, well, what you do at that point is you sing the first half of that song, and that's your intro right there. And that's when you break in, you do a little snap, and like, now here's a real song. You point to the crowd, and you're like, okay, then own it.
Yeah,
I mean, you at that point, you have to just step up and own it. Be like, this is my intro. This is my version right here.
Yeah,
it's a remix.
It's also really interesting because I did, a long time ago, I think a girlfriend and I, we sang for the opening for the Sounders game, and this was years ago, and it's kind of like crazy because you can't listen to the echo. Because there's this echo slapback. So you have to
it is.
You have to really concentrate on what you're doing, or you're really being in a world of heat going, oh, shoot, what's going on? Because you can hear that echo slapback, and it's a long delay, too, so it's, whoa, it's really crazy. But, I would love to do it sometime. It's just I want to make sure I'm really prepared for it because I love my country, and I want to make sure that, it sounds right, and I sing the right words and all that stuff.
Well, I think you'd be just fine. I mean, if you sing it.
Yeah, you would totally nail it.
Yeah, even if you sing it even half as good as you sing on your album or anything that you've ever done, then you'll be better than probably 98% of the people that get up there and do it.
Let's see. Well, I can say I probably would have been better than Aguilera. I think that she kind of screwed up really bad, but I don't know what she was on.
Why not go ahead and just sing us a couple bars now? We can have it first and foremost on the Will and Thunder Show. I'm just kidding. And this is Pamela Moore on the Will and Thunder Show. A cappella singing. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, all right, okay. I could
I'll
probably
sing with you, I promise. No.
You would?
No, please don't.
There you go. If any of those people, if anybody, have you guys listened to the album? I don't know if Thunder has, but of the songs that are on Ressurrect Me, what's your favorite one?
Oh, me, I love all of them, but I'd have to say the final track is my favorite. And also the song, and the song you did with Brooke as well. I'm so bad with names, and they're not coming into my head right now for some reason. So I'm being senile, but not the title.
All the time.
I think my favorite is either the Wide Awake, which Chris was just talking about, and Ressurrect Me. I also like Melt Into You a lot. I like We Are Damaged a lot. I mean, I like them all, but I think that those.
Yeah, I love the whole album.
That's great. Thank you. That's good to know. Yeah, it was funny because I think on my Facebook page I had asked everybody, what's your favorite song? And most of them do like the title track, Resurrect Me. I was surprised in Melt Into You. I don't know if people really said Wide Awake, but I think Wide Awake turned out really pretty. I was surprised a lot of people said We Are Damaged. They liked that one a lot.
That's a good song, too.
Well, that song has just got a real bold and seductive, feel to it and everything. And it's just that song has a kind of I don't know, borderline erotic energy to it.
Yeah, exactly. That was meant to be that way. The song that always has been kind of my sleeper song that I've always really liked, I mean, because I love them all, because they're all my babies, but the one song that I really always still like when I'm singing it, and it's hard to sing sometimes too, but I don't know why I do that to myself, but anyway, is Awakening. And the reason for that is it's just kind of sleepy groove at the beginning, and then it just kind of goes into this crazy frenzy at the end, and it's where I can show off how high I can sing and all that stuff. But that's always turned out to be kind of my I don't know, but producer's cut favorite, so to speak. But that's for the only reason that it kind of is deceiving when you first listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, there's rarely an album that comes out. I mean, it happens every now and then, but where I'll actually like every song on it, and Resurrect Me is definitely one of them.
That's great. I hope that the next batch will be just the same. That would be awesome. If it is.
Now, are you by any chance going to be doing any type of a duet or an appearance on the next Queensryche album?
Nope, haven't talked about it.
Huh?
They're really working hard right now. I think they're really working on the album itself. I haven't really talked to them. It looks like I'll be doing a show with them in December, opening up for them up here in Seattle. And so that should be a good time, and I might get to know a little bit more about what they're doing. But they've been really busy, ever since the whole court thing really was kind of a snafu the past few years. But, they've been really busy, and they're back at it, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think they've got a fire underneath them, and I think it'll be really fun for them to get new stuff out there, and I think people will enjoy that too.
What I want to know is when they're going to start bringing you out on tour with them, besides just shows in Seattle, because some of us outside of Seattle like you too and want to see you with them. We want to see you in a live show.
We better say something and go, what the heck?
Exactly.
Why isn't that one of the things on their pledge campaign is to, pledge this much money and we'll bring Pamela with us on tour? I'm outraged by that. I think I'm going to take that up with them on their Facebook.
There you go. How dare you?
Yeah, that's not right, because I would have pledged for that.
There you go. That would have been fun.
I would have loved to have been. I would have loved to have been at their album release party where you got up and did Sister Mary with Todd LaTorre. I mean that.
Oh
that
my
was
God.
That was a really big surprise for me because I have to I've always been right next to Jeff. The whole life of the Queensryche thing, I've always been kind of his right-hand woman, I suppose, his stage person, and that has always been and always will have been a very special time for me. And that song, of course, was, it was always with Jeff. And so when they said they were going to do it, it was like, okay, all right, I'll try it out, And I don't know what happened to Todd, but the guy he was on fire. When I came out at the last minute because I wanted to surprise people, but came out, he was just on fire when he was singing that song, and I was floored. He did a really good job. Again, I'm never going to take anything away from Jeff because that whole thing was very special to me, but I have to tell you that boy, I was impressed.
That's all you have to say right there. That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now I have a question.
Remember, go ahead, Thunder, go ahead.
No. It's a kind of a serious note. Now, the whole idea of, now Queensryche is Queensryche. Does your likeness as Mary, Sister Mary, is that involved in the lawsuit right there? Can you play with both, or can you only go on stage or be a part with them, or how's that work out?
That's an awesome question, actually. I never thought of that. Are you allowed to call yourself Sister Mary or to use that role?
I don't have the rights to be able to, well, first of all, I don't have the rights to be able to, market myself as Sister Mary or market myself with Operation Mindcrime because that's their entity.
Right.
That's their bread and butter. I could never profit off of something like that, which I would never do.
Right.
And
I
was just saying your vocals and your likeness.
Right. But I'm
he's had other people
sure.
sing your part at his live shows.
Right. That's true. And that's he has a right to do that because I'm more of a hired on person. What's really been very endearing to me is that over the years, people have accepted me in as part of a band member, but technically I'm not. I'm not.
Right. Well,
you
could say technically, but I'm telling you reality-wise, you were as much of that album as anybody who had a guitar or a microphone in their hand because, people know you as well from that album as they do Jeff Tate. Exactly. And you may not have been a founding member of the band right there, and your names aren't on the credits, but I'm telling you now that you're as much of that band, in my opinion, as anybody else there.
Well, that's really cool, and that means a lot to me, and I do feel like I do have my fan base through Queensryche, obviously, because of the lift up that I got, because I was tapped for the person to sing that, and I am very grateful for that, and I worked my butt off to make sure that it was right and, sounded right and everything too, but as far as that whole thing, I have nothing to do with any of that stuff. I have, luckily I wasn't a part of any of that. Unfortunate, legal battles that they had. Unfortunately, because of the fact that I have an association with both of them, both entities, I guess you would call it, it was a little bit difficult to be feeling like I was in the middle of it. And I really have never said anything negative against Jeff. I've never said anything negative against the guys. I've been on stage with the guys. They've asked me to sing with them. And really, actually, before, right when the court thing kind of happened, Jeff asked me to go on the road with him. And I just couldn't do it because, number one, because I had the album coming out, and I didn't want to commit to something with him and have to leave. But it also was a little bit of a hotbed there that I just was too afraid of being a part of. I just wanted to try to stay as neutral as possible.
Right. You felt like the child in the middle of a divorce.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't, I mean, obviously I love the boys in the band and Queensryche, and I loved working with them, and that's the way it is. I mean, if Jeff called me tomorrow, I'd talk to him. The whole issue is just so unfortunate that it had to happen, but I'm so glad that it's over, and now it's time to move forward. I mean, that's what we all have to do,
Well, I want to tell you right now.
I remember when I interviewed you last year, and you gave the same answer, and I always thought that was just the most classy answer that anybody could give. Like, you were honest and said, you've been friends with these guys for 30 years. You're not going to take sides. You're going to continue to be real, and if any of these guys call on you, whether it's Jeff Tate or whether it's the other guys, you will be there for them because you have been their friend for all these years, and you're not going to just, how shall I say, stab somebody in the back or do something because you think that, or the fans think that you should be on one side or another. And I just always thought that was a really cool way to approach that. And I wish more people in this.
Some people would probably think it was a cop out too, but it really isn't, because I don't know how to I wouldn't know how to handle it. I'm not in the middle of it. I wasn't there when situations happened. Do I have opinions about them from what I heard? Of course I do. Of course I do, but my opinion is my opinion, just like everybody else has an opinion, and what that means.
Well, you said it so perfectly. You are just like the rest of us as fans, just caught in the middle of this and of this ugly divorce that this has been, and so many of us want to be neutral or to support both sides, but there's a lot of stuff on either side from people I hear on who support one side or the other, that there's just certain things where it's like, I can't really go with this, or I support this side because of this reason or whatnot, and it's tough. So, and you've been friends with them for so long, and we've all been fans for many, many years, and it's hard for us to just be like, oh, well, whatever. And,
But it's so good to take the high road like that, because we were talking a couple of weeks ago about the whole thing with Van Halen right there, where, the bass player can't play with the band because he's still friends with Sammy. Oh, Mike, you can't play with us anymore. Because you still have ties. And that is so childish and everything. Look, man, the court thing's over and done with. And as fans right here, if you still love Jeff Tate, I mean, listen to his music. If you are upset because of the way he handled things, well, then don't listen to his music. But, I mean, it doesn't have to be such a big deal right there, especially for someone like you who's been a part of both sides of this right here. You don't have to take sides right here. The thing is, you know what? I love you guys. I love you guys. I'm going to stay right here in the middle. And look, you guys want to hang out? You guys want to play some music? I can come play with you for a little bit. You guys want to hang out and play some music? Let's do that too, because you guys were together when we did this.
Yeah.
I was a part of all of you guys. So, I mean, it's kind of cool to just sit back and be like, look, I'm not picking sides. There's times where it's really ugly and things like that, and you might have got pulled in and had to make a choice. But you don't have to, so why make a choice? Why not just go on with some great times in your life, enjoy what was going on, and you can carry on either way. And that's awesome.
Well, and it's the whole thing for me and my own entity is playing Pamela Moore, playing Sister Mary, being able to travel with those guys, do all those things. I am so grateful to each and every one of those guys for giving me that opportunity. It wasn't just specific people that did it, but the whole band as a whole that gave me that opportunity. And so, it's always going to be kind of a sad thing, but it's also I'm very grateful that it's over, and I want everyone to benefit from this, and when we go through challenges like that, we learn and we grow, or at least we should.
Exactly. And on top of that, people need to understand that this isn't the only life that you had. You had 2 albums before the whole Queensryche thing happened.
And you've been doing things ever since.
And, I was working my way there. Thank you, Chris.
Right. No, I'm sorry.
But yeah, so I mean, but no, seriously, this was just a portion of your life right there, and people judge your talent by what they've heard through Queensryche. Don't get me wrong, but that's not Pamela Moore. That's Sister Mary. You're playing a character just like you did a stage show on Broadway.
Exactly.
Was it fantastic? Absolutely.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you. I think everything was
it's
aligned right, It's really funny.
Right. And, it was not a stepping stone, but it was another stone or a stepping stone in your career to get you where you're at right now. So this is something that you can't look back on a, bad way, but, in a good way. And why make it so muddled up? And why should you have to make a decision to say what's what and what's no? I love these guys. I was a part of this great thing. And go on.
Well, you're in a unique position, too, to where you don't have to take one side or the other because you have been, I guess you could say, on the outside of the inner circle, so to speak, in that you've been part of the music, but you haven't been in the band consistently for 30 years and lived with them day after day after day and toured with them constantly. And you have the sort of luxury to be able to stand back and be on the outside looking in and kind of not have to be directly involved in the BS, which is probably kind of a good thing in many ways because it allows you to be able to still maintain your friendships or your relationships, working relationships with either one of them, and not have it be so much of a threat to the other party. And I think that's a good thing too.
I think so. And like I said, it's been a blessing for me to be in that whole, what is it, that era, I suppose, and it's afforded me the opportunity to be on a radio thing with you guys and talk to you and have you play my songs. And it's everybody's, who's an artist, they have a vehicle and they want to be able to show it some way, and I've been afforded that with having a ready-made audience that can listen to what I have to offer, and, hopefully they like it, and hopefully they'll like the next album, too.
It's like Thunder said. Sister Mary is such a small part of who you are as an artist, and so many fans out there who only know you for that don't know the body of work that you have that's so vastly different from it, and it's such great music. And for any of you out there that are fans of Queensryche that have not listened to Pamela's stuff outside of Queensryche, you're really missing out on good music, whether it's the new album, which is more metal-oriented, or other stuff, which is not necessarily, but it's all good, and it's all, she's very talented, and you should go buy one of her albums right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you said, listen to Queensryche there was you said a self-driven vehicle or a self-made vehicle for your music. Now, you were as much a part making that music, so I want you to take as much credit for that album right there, because I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much if it didn't have that part. We've talked 100 times on this show, especially when we have female vocalists on there. When you have that duo of a great male vocalist and a great female vocalist, and you have that back and forth vocal styles jumping back and forth to each other and seeing two different sides of a story, I think that tells so much more than anyone else. It's amazing to me. I love that when you have that connection right there. And Operation Mindcrime would not have been as successful without a confident and as talented singer as you were. Not just vocally, but emotionally putting what you had into each song and making it seem real. You were reading a story or hearing a story, and you made that part real.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, you set the story in motion. You gave the story life because of that. When you're listening to the first Operation Mindcrime, I really am reluctant to bring the second one into this when I'm speaking overall. But in the first Mindcrime that most fans know and love, the story is being told from one perspective up until you jump in, and it just brings it brings everything together, and it shows a different perspective from what we're hearing all along, and it gives the story more of a human feel, so to speak, because we're seeing it from somebody else's perspective that's being affected by the events taking place, by not only the character, the main character who he's being affected by, but also how you're being affected by the main character. And I think that's just that
it's funny. I have to tell you a funny story about that. When I first toured with them, I did the album. I recorded it up in Montreal. And then they went out. They didn't take me with them, and they didn't do Sister Mary. They didn't, when they went out to support the album, they never did that song. And then Empire came along, and they asked me to come with them because they were going to do the album in its entirety. That was the first version, so to speak. So that's when we filmed Operation Mindcrime, and I only was featured in one song, and it was just so beautifully done. I watched that video, I think earlier this year, and I was like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah, that's
just
amazing.
Filmed so well. But what's funny is that when I was in Europe and we were doing it, so many people were so surprised to see me, and a lot of people, when I get out, and go towards the bus or something, they go, "We thought that was Jeff Tate singing that. We didn't know it was a female singer." I'm like, "Oh my God, what are you thinking?" They thought it was a man. I'm going, or they thought it was Jeff. Because Jeff was a freak of nature. He had that amazing voice that went up as high as my territory up in the, But it was funny because they always kept saying that. It's funny.
And all I'm thinking to myself is,
hold on here.
people
I gotta see
actually
this right now.
open the liner notes,
I gotta see it right now. Like, all right, I got that part down. All right, bring in the zip ties. I got the next part.
But yeah, I mean, it's just, come on, people, open up your liner notes and read the credits. I mean, I do that when I buy an album. It always surprises me how few people actually do that.
Well, people can't do that anymore because you can only buy CDs in very few spots anymore. Now everything is digital, and they don't come with liner notes anymore.
Well,
I know. Well, I try to
do
that. Yeah, but the liner notes, I can't even see anymore. Now I have to get like a huge magnifying glass to read it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what's a bummer about having CDs, because remember those vinyls, they're so cool.
Oh, yeah.
I
was telling somebody the other day that in my childhood, my dad was a manager of a pizza place. Actually, my dad and Will's dad managed the same pizza place. But anyway, I used to get 45s from the guy who came in and changed the records out all the time. And I had so many 45s back in the day, and these were jukebox 45s, so they had two different artists on each side. You have Kool and the Gang on one side, and you could have Queen on the other side. It was crazy. I mean, you could just grab an album and just play whatever all the time. It was the coolest thing ever back in the day. I had one of those old school lunchbox record players where you lift the top open. It was awesome, man. Kids don't even know.
One of my friends that's an engineer, she's young, and she was like, "Daddy, what are these? What did she say? These big? She'd never seen a vinyl before. Like, that's a big CD." It's like laughing at it, like, oh God, out of the mouths of babes, things have changed. It's pretty crazy. But anyway, it's been a wild ride, you guys, and I'm still doing it, and I'm loving it, and I'm coaching, and I'm loving doing that, and singing, and I got to do a cruise this year, and it looks like I might be able to do something like that next year, and so it's been a pretty fun ride, and I'm still kind of cruising on it. It's pretty fun.
When are you coming to California?
So awesome.
When I know, I wish, I've been having trouble trying to secure. We're working on some dates in spring for the Midwest, Chicago.
What part of the Midwest?
Area, that area.
Okay.
Well, Chicago area, probably.
Anything in Tennessee?
No, nothing there. It's been kind of difficult because I haven't been able to find a booking agent at the moment. I mean, there's a lot out there, but it's kind of specific what I'm looking for, and I'm not really able or really wanting to just go play clubs,
I understand that.
I'd rather kind of do more event type things because you can hit more birds with a stone.
Exactly.
And so I've been kind of more specific in kind of the shows I like to do that represent me a little bit better, and so but the stuff that we've been doing has just been great, and I love doing this stuff with Queensryche. I'd love to be able to do a few shows with them as well. So it's just kind of working out what's going to be right, and just keep doing it. That's what I want.
Well, push them into bringing you with them to California when they come back, because I
can't do that. I have to have the fans go, "We need Pamela. We need Pamela."
But I'm only one person.
Ashley, that's right. Now, Chris, tell her what we've done as a show. What have we done? Well, we're kind of magical.
Yeah, I was just going to say that we're a magical show, and we've made things happen. So I'm not going to give up hope because we have actually put bands on the Billboard charts. We have reunited bands on this show. So I'm not giving up hope that this show will bring you my way, and I will finally get to see you and see you.
That's right.
And that's it.
I would love
to see you.
I'd love to do that. That would be great.
Yes. And, first of all, I just want to say thank you for being on the show because it has been magical for me. I mean, I love everything that you, especially what you did with Queensryche, and the stuff I've heard from you on your last album. I love every bit of it, too. And just thank you so much for taking some time out of there. And so you're a vocal coach now also?
Yeah, I've been doing that, you know, kind of a few hours here and there, you know, and it's been really wonderful. I've got some great students. I mean, I don't know what it is about Washington State, but we got some talent up here. It must be the water and the fresh air or something. I don't know.
That's what it is.
But I've got a couple of students, a couple of them, they're not taking lessons periodically with me, you know, just spur of the moment, but one of the kids was on an open audition for The Voice, and someone else got a bunch of special auditions to go through, you know, some of these contests, which, you know, are contests,
wait a minute.
but
One of your kids was auditioned to be on The Voice and didn't get in?
He auditioned on The Voice, and he was on the live auditions, but they never passed him through. So he was on TV.
Yeah, you see, that's another reason why I think that those shows are garbage. Because if you taught the kid how to sing, he should have not only gotten on there but won the damn thing. Those shows are rigged. They're garbage.
I know. I understand.
No, seriously.
I mean, it's entertainment, you know, and they're looking for, and that's what I try to tell my kids too. You know, I think do this because it'll be fun for you, but don't be devastated if you don't get it, you know, because I mean, what would have happened if, I don't know, what if what's his name, the guy from Nirvana, what if he was on there and sang a song? Would he get put through? Probably not.
No.
You know, it's just all entertainment mostly, and certainly there's a lot of people on there that are really good singers, but they're also looking for the story because it's more about not just winning the contest, you know.
Right. You know what the thing is? I think it's with those contests, and I understand, Will, that you don't like them. I do enjoy it to an extent because it is another avenue for musicians to get out there. And I know that you think that a lot of these musicians out there that are just, you know, hey, there's a 14-year-old that comes on who can sing. Yeah, you know what? He's getting the green card to go through. But there's a lot of guys in there that are in their 30s that have been doing it since they were 13 years old, like me and you did. And you're just mad because you didn't have the opportunity to do it when you were in your 20s. To be like, look, man, I've been doing this for...
I wouldn't get up there and sing pop.
I have a question.
Wouldn't get up there and sing pop. I'm sorry.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to. You take people that I've seen on these shows that are given a pop song that make them rock.
I don't care.
Yeah, well,
what you have to do is understand yourself,
I write my own
be confident.
Thunder, you know this.
And then I understand that, but you know what? There's a day and age where things have to change. And you know what? There's a lot of bands that we came from in Florida, Central Florida, who did play cover songs in their set because it brought the crowd in to hear their originals. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. I mean, there's a point in your life, in your career,
I think
you
that
have to make a choice.
Are more they're more singing competitions than they are real musician competitions.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I agree with you there.
I don't think that a lot of those people. There's some that write, which is kind of cool, but I just think it's all just.
Those are the ones that I like. I like the singer-songwriter versions, and I like the guys who are given the, you know, look, I'm a pop star, not pop star, but a rock star, and you're giving me a pop song. I'm gonna show you how to do this. Exactly. You know, and one vision of that I have is a guy that I think's a great musician. He's not metal. He's just a good, you know, average kind of rock, which is David Cook. And I think he's a good artist. I mean, I would hold him up above, you know, Eric Clapton. You know, he's a good guitar player and he's got a good vision. But when he did Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, it rocked. It rocked. It was an awesome song right there. And given that opportunity for him to be on TV to do that, he lives in Podunk, Iowa somewhere, and the only shows he can get is at the, you know, little honky-tonk who plays country music 9 times out of 10. I think it's okay.
We got both kinds of music. We got country and western.
Exactly. But the point of the matter is you have people out there who do have an idea of what they want to do that don't have the means to go to California or go to New York or go to Florida or go to Atlanta. That this does give an opportunity. Is it a little, you know, hyped up? And, yeah, is it Hollywood? Of course it is. But you know what? If you see someone on the show that makes it to the second round and you're like, oh, this guy's got something, you're going to look up him later, and he's at least going to have a chance that he never had before. So I'm going to give him that much.
Yeah, and one thing I can say about the student that I was working with, he did get a lot of exposure, you know, and so that's
exactly. Well, I mean, on the other note of asking if you were doing that, do you have a website or something that people can look you up and try and find you in Seattle to get you as a vocal coach, or is this something that you're doing just by word of mouth? Or?
Well, it has been mostly word of mouth. I really which has been awesome. I haven't really been advertising it so much, but I do have a website. I have a personal website where you can go and look at a lot of stuff, and that's PamelaMoore.net, not .com, because apparently PamelaMoore.com is a bridal thing, a bridal website. So it's PamelaMoore.net, and you can go on there, and there's a lot of news that's on there, and I think I've got a video, and I've got my buttons for my social sites, and there's an area where it's for vocal lessons, and you can look on that, and there's testimonials on there and stuff like that. So people, they will be able to get in touch with me through an email, and then I just talk to them after that if they're trying to get a hold of me for specific things, and we just kind of go from there. I've been pretty booked up, so it's been good, but it's been, I have to tell you that I was a bit apprehensive at first to do it, but it's really made me become a better singer because I'm trying to devise certain ways to show people things, and then when I'm working on something, I'm like, no, wait a minute, I'm not doing this. So I really
using
feel like
your own, right?
Yeah, actually, I remember you telling me that you had said that even though you're the teacher, they're actually teaching you. The students were actually teaching you something more than you were teaching them. And I thought that was so cool. Right. You were both learning from each other.
Right, and it's also, you kind of are in that way because it's so one-on-one, and it's a lot of work, too, if you're doing more than a couple of lessons during the day because it's just so focused and, you're trying to get someone to, it's hard to tell somebody, well, do it from here and do this and do that because they can't, you have to be able to explain where the sensation has to be in your head and blah, 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 and how you're supposed to use it.
Yeah, and everybody has a different headspace.
Yeah, and a different way of understanding something, yeah. So
I've got a serious question for you. No. I sniffled, but no, I actually have a serious question here. No, seriously. I mean, honestly. Now, like me, I'm a bass player. I have such a baritone voice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you know what? And, like, I could sing Crash Test Dummies if I wanted to, but I can't sing. I mean, I can't carry a tune in a bucket. Now, can you teach anybody to sing, or do you have to have an instrument to start with?
I believe, and I have some students that are very, very beginners, and they will never win Star Search or American Idol, what we were talking about. But I believe that if they want to, they can learn to a point. You can get your muscles working a certain way. It's people do, if you have the patience to do it too, people do learn, and they do learn how to listen, and they do learn how to recognize pitch. Are they going to be perfect at it? No. There are people that just already have it, and I have students like that where they're coming to me and it's like, what do I show them, Where do we go with this? But there are people that have started, beginners that I've got that have to learn how to create tone and everything too. So I believe that everyone has a chance to be able to make themselves better. But having said that, there are those people that they'll only get to be a certain point, and then that's it.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And saying, look, I can teach you to sing. I cannot teach you to be Michael Jackson. Well, not you, Michael Jackson. But you know what I'm saying. I can't teach you.
I can teach you how to recognize a note, but I can't turn you into Pavarotti.
Right.
Or something
exactly.
Like that.
Your vocal range is from here to here, and that's the way you are. So you're built. Phonetically, look, your throat only does so much because this is where how it's set. You can't make a trombone sound like a trumpet.
No, you can't. And some people are just predisposed at sounding really good. They were born with just really good pitch and really good intonation. I got this one girl that she's just got great phrasing, and it's like I think she's 10 or 12 or I don't know, but she's like going on 22 or something just by the way she phrases. And then there's some that just have a little voice, and so you can learn. You can as long as you've got a teacher that's patient enough to do that, you can learn, and if the student really wants to work on it too. Because I've had people who are really good, but they don't put anything into it, so it's frustrating.
And they're never going to be anything from that.
Yeah.
All right, so you can teach pitch to an extent, and you can teach notes.
To an extent.
And you can teach people to understand those or to hear them, but you can't. I mean, it's not like you can take somebody like me with a voice that I have, and there's not exercises I could do to sing like Jeff Tate.
No.
I'm where I'm at right now. I'm a baritone. This is my voice right here, and there's nothing I can do to train my vocal cords to sing higher than a certain level. As
yeah,
my
you're
vocal
not
cords
gonna
are.
be. You're not gonna be the Bee Gees. We're not gonna. It's not.
Right, I know. That's what I'm
Your
saying.
dream is crushed.
Go into your garage and grab the vice grips. That's about your only shot.
Well, you know, I won't use vice grip. Look, I told you earlier my favorite item right there was the zip ties, all right? But just take you to do Sister Mary. Anyway.
But actually, I don't know if Will and Thunder have seen this or know about it, but I remember seeing Pamela. I remember seeing you on one of the Seattle news shows. I thought it was really cool that with some of your students you sing Queensryche songs, and I thought that was really cool because a lot of the kids maybe not necessarily know their music or are familiar with them, or it's not their genre of music, or they just wouldn't know about them. And I think that's cool that you sing. You sang I think it was Silent Lucidity with one of the kids on the show, and that was really neat.
One of my students. Yeah, that was a really neat thing of sharing because she's really a gifted singer in her own right. And you know, I said, well, why don't we try this song? So we did, and then she sang at my album party, which was really sweet. So
yeah, she sounded really good doing that song.
Yeah, she really did.
I have I'm sorry. Will, I have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
Are you there? We have one more song to play, don't we?
We do.
Why don't
you
we
weren't
play
gonna
that
ask
song?
You weren't going to ask Pamela if she shoots her bass players because we've been asking everybody that.
No, stop that. Look, Pamela, ignore them. Look, they have something against bass players on the show. I don't know what it is.
I have nothing against bass players, Thunder. It's all in your head.
No, you just love the idea of them being shot. I don't understand this. I'm a bass player. Look, it's just not funny anymore, all right? It's like 5 weeks in a row right here, all right? Look, Pamela, you don't understand this, but literally, I've changed my name. It started out as Lightning, now I'm Thunder. I'm in protective custody with the FBI right now because we talked about shooting bass players, and I'm a bass player, and I still call these guys. It's on a new cell phone every week. You know, I have to throw it away when I'm done. But they're trying to kill me.
Thunder, who would we have to go? Who would we have to go
Actually,
to target practice with if we did that? Come on, that's not feasible.
This is so ridiculous, man. Pamela, you see what I have to Pamela, you see what I have to go through right here? This is the life I live right here. I was almost out of therapy 5 weeks ago. I had 2 weeks left, and they start throwing this at me. And are you guys? You know what? I know what happened right now. My therapist called you guys and told you to make me paranoid again.
Well, we played a song called Paranoia, so we had to,
And you're in this too. Look, you went into the studio 2 years ago to write this song to do this to me.
Before we even started the show ever.
I know.
And now Will, I know when you called me 2 years ago going, you know what, this might be a good idea. This might be a good idea. If me and you, we talk on the phone all the time. We've known each other since we were 4. Look, I haven't tried to kill you in a while. Why don't we do a radio show? Look, it's all making sense now.
Paranoia.
See, when they brought me in here, I have to break up their fights all the time. And yeah.
I'm sorry, I went on a rave. Look, maybe I do need more therapy. I'm sorry.
It's all right, Thunder. We'll buy you an ice cream cone after the show. Hey,
look, I'm not wearing a helmet here. I'm okay. Need a fucking ice cream cone? Really? An ice cream? If you just said, like, oh, let me buy you a beer or something, a beer would have been cool. No, ice creams are like somebody who's drooling on themselves.
I like ice cream. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, all right, whatever.
I should probably get my butt going here. I don't know what time is it.
Yeah, we've been up all night. It's been like a
I don't know
party.
either. And with the time change and everything, it gets dark at 3 o'clock where I'm at now, because of the time change. So I have no idea what time. It could be 4 o'clock tomorrow right now. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it's next Wednesday.
Anyway, Ressurrect Me because we've got about another 10 minutes before the show actually ends. So
I have a question though. Why are you going to play Resurrect Me? You haven't shot me yet.
We want to give you motivation.
Okay, thank you. All right, Resurrect Me. This is to all the bass players out there.
There you go.
Yeah, this is.
This is title track off of my album.
And it's awesome.
God love you.
Pamela, right now while I'm thinking about this, will you make a little spot for me saying like this is Pamela Moore and I'm and you're listening to the Will and Thunder show or something, that'd be awesome.
Sure, I can do that. It's called the Will and Thunder Show.
The Will and Thunder show.
Yes.
The Will and Thunder Show. Okay. Do you want me to do that now?
Sure, and then we'll play Ressurrect Me, and then we'll wrap this thing up, and I'll get it up on YouTube.
Okay, cool. Hold on one second. I was gonna make a note here for something. 1 minute. So I'll do a couple of them. I'll just go 3, 2, 1, and then you can pick out whichever one you want to do.
Perfect.
But let's see. And it's the Will and Thunder Show. Okay, that's all you want me to say. Okay, here you go. You ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. This is Pamela Moore, and you are listening to the Will and Thunder Show. Want to do another one?
Awesome. Yeah, you do.
One more. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. This is Pamela Moore, and you're listening to the Will and Thunder Show.
Our studio audience loves you.
Thanks, Pamela. That was awesome.
Thank you.
I hope it works.
Yeah, I'll get that.
You're going to play the song now, and then do I get to go?
I know,
Yes,
we got
you
our
do.
postage now. Yes, we'll set you free.
No, you can't go anywhere. You cannot go anywhere.
I mean that all in love. I hope you
Actually, you know what we'll do right now? Why don't we go ahead and say our goodbyes right now? We'll play the song right after that. Pamela, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you.
I love you more now than I ever did, man. It was awesome.
Good.
Yes, Pamela, thank you so much for all the interviews over the years and your support of me and Sonic Cathedral. And it has been so awesome over the years to have become friends with you on Facebook and all that, and finally get to talk to you in person. So thank you for doing the show.
I know.
Well, we got to
get
get together sometimes.
Yeah, it's really been. You've been so good to me too, sweetie, and I really appreciate that. Being able to actually meet people face to face when I get to do these radio things it's really a blessing too. So hopefully that'll happen in the future.
You bet. Well, maybe one of these days I'll get back up to Seattle. It is definitely a goal of mine. So we'll see each other soon.
Good.
I love you. Good. Thank you. I'll see you on Facebook.
I'd just like to say thank you for being such a gracious interview last year when I was floundering all over the place like a.
Oh, you were fine. You were fine. You were great. It was awesome.
Oh, man,
I loved it. And thanks for asking me out again. We can do once I get this next album under my belt. We'll have to do another one.
Oh, absolutely. But if I hadn't gotten rid of that of the audio from that interview, I'd play a little segment of it here just to kind of rag on myself. But
there you go.
And on top of that, some of these people that you're working with now, here in the future, some of these people that you're coaching, and they're on their way, maybe we could have them on the show with you and kind of hear where they're going in life. That's one thing we'd love to do is, start from the beginning with someone who's got the real talent and try and, make their name in music and start off, the beginning of their career and maybe walk with them through it and have them on every, 6 months or what so have you, someone that you feel that has the talent, something like that, and just give them an avenue to get out there and be heard a little bit and just to watch them grow.
Yeah, that would be
awesome. Cool. That would be really neat. I do have a couple of them like that too, so it's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, we do have to wrap it up if we're going to be able to play the whole song.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to shut up now.
Take it easy.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for Pamela Moore. Also, thank you for Brian Vollmer of Helix for stopping by. This is the title track from Pamela Moore's album, Ressurrect Me.
Can't remember who I am.
show. That, of course, was Ressurrect.
Blog Talk Radio.
I'm here.
Basically.
What the hell is that?
I'm sorry. Well.
Welcome to the Will and Thunder Show. Will and Thunder Show.
Ridiculous, 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 ridiculous. Welcome to the Will and Thunder Show.
Well, hello there, and welcome into the Will and Thunder Show. Everybody here with me?
Yep.
Yeah, we're all here.
All right. I don't know what happened there, but all of a sudden, I disappeared for a second. Well, thanks for pulling me back in there. The aliens are trying to get me again from a couple shows ago.
Yeah,
Well, they
they're
got
trying to
Chris,
get me too, because I also got to just.
Really? Oh, so
Yeah.
now they're stepping up their game and trying to get 2 of the 3. All right. Yeah, all right, that's fine. When we get off the show tonight, I'm going to have to get with NASA and get those satellites linked up and all that. You remember those Star Wars lasers? We're going to pull them out again. We'll pull them out. You guys better back off.
Right.
You've
I'm
seen
telling
Independence Day.
Haters are at work. I'm telling you, it's got to be. Haters are at work.
I'm telling you. It's
There's
those
somebody
2
who's
sons of
jealous.
bitches. Look, it's some 2 sons of bitches from Microsoft or whoever running around in that van. That's what they're doing. They're trying to put our radio program. And looking all innocent. And, oh, yeah, we're just having a good old time. Yeah, whatever. We'll find you, I promise.
So how are you, Will?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. I'm a little pissed off. I just found out from a guy that I work with that I could have had $500,000.
And how did this elude you?
This guy, I'm talking about the McDonald's Monopoly game. This guy, he had Boardwalk. He showed it to me.
Yeah.
I had like 3 park places.
And you know what? I was convinced that they never make one or the other, because every year I either get one or the other, but never both at once.
Right.
I had a theory that they just make one of either every year. Like they have one year where they make the park place.
You're right. They'll make one park place. But, I mean, no, literally, I mean, cause, like, I've been there, and I've gotten Boardwalk like 150 times, you know, and then there's no park place ever. I think they back and forth every year. They'll do one of either one,
no, they
and a million of the other ones.
I had Park Place this year, and he had Boardwalk, but we didn't.
Right. Well, he might have had the only Boardwalk one.
But
he might have had the only Boardwalk one.
But we didn't make this connection until, like a couple days ago after the damn thing was over.
Well, I mean, that's a sad note, and I'm sorry for you. But one good note from McDonald's, McRib's back.
Yeah, meh.
Well, you know,
the best sandwich they ever made.
Now that you know that, just from now on, everybody you know, just pool your resources. Like, okay,
Damn
at the end of at least then you have a chance at some money.
Exactly.
Like if you have Boardwalk, call me, because I get Park Place every single damn year. So
all right. Well, now we know. So.
Yeah, I get one or the other. Usually I'll get a Boardwalk, but not a Park Place, or vice versa. So that's why I was convinced.
Right.
With
now I
Thunder
can't
Theory
wait
as well, that they make only one each year just to throw everybody off.
In 11 and a half months from today, we'll be doing a show just bullshitting around, and we're going to get a call in. Like, we got a call in. Let's see what this is. And he's going to be like, hey, Will, I got Park Place.
And then he's going to be like when Homer quit his job at the nuclear power plant.
Exactly.
See you so long, suckers.
Me and you will still be talking and won't hear anything. Like, what the hell just happened? As we hear Will's microphone hit the floor. The hell was that?
Damn it, man. Well, we've got an awesome lineup of guests for you tonight. We've got the Brian Vollmer, the singer from the legendary hair metal band Helix joining us at about 10:30. And then around 11:15, we've got Miss Pamela Moore, also known as Sweet Sister Mary from the Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime album. So we're, she's going to probably be with us for the duration of the, for the rest of the show. So kind of pumped about that.
Exactly, star-studded episode of the Will and Thunder show, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's right.
So yeah, so it's just kind of ironic that we have this story, that we have Pamela Moore on. Pamela, she's not a moron.
So we have Pamela Moore visiting the show today.
Thank you. It's kind of ironic that that we have her with us, and this week in the news, there's like at least two different Queensryche stories. So
really?
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and lead off with the news, and that. I think we got 3 or 4 stories total. That should take us right up to Helix. So let's do the news.
I read the news today, oh boy. Have you read the news? Hey, have you read the news?
Who is that? It's metal news. We were talking about Queensryche. There's 2 Queensryche stories that we can think of, but let's start off with the one. Okay, basically those of y'all who were not familiar with the lawsuit that went down between Jeff Tate and Queensryche, basically per the lawsuit, Jeff Tate cannot release anything under the name Queensryche. Yet he's re-releasing. Well, actually, he's re-releasing his Frequency Unknown album, and the picture I saw of the album cover, it's the same thing. They've changed the color scheme around a little bit, but it's the same thing, and it has Queensryche across the top of it. The songs, which really. There's like only one good song on the entire album anyway, and then like 4 really bad remakes of Queensryche classics. But we've got it's the original disc and then another disc of remastered songs. So no new songs on the new album. But so my question is, A, what's the point, and B, isn't there some type of a legal issue with that, considering he is releasing that album under the Queensryche moniker?
Yeah, actually, I addressed this question out loud on my blog when I wrote about the lawsuit settlement, and that was a question I had heard from several fans and also wondered myself, which is basically what becomes of Frequency Unknown now that Wilton, Rockenfield Jackson, and Todd Latore and Parker Lundgren all have the Queensryche name. What happens to that album? Is it considered part of their back catalog? Do they have the right to perform any of those songs if they so choose? Which I don't think they would.
I don't think they would want to.
No, of course not. But it's an interesting angle to look at because it bears the Queensryche name, which is now theirs. So does that album legally belong to them? And if it were to be re-released, would it have to be released under Tate's own name, or would they get a cut of the proceeds from that album when it's re-released because it bears the Queensryche name? That's something that I wondered out loud then, and it never really got addressed when the band came out and listed all the things that Tate had rights to and that they had rights to. Somehow in the mix, the Frequency Unknown never really got mentioned. I can understand why it didn't, but now with this whole re-release thing or this deluxe version thing, it kind of brings up that same question all over again. Who does this belong to, and does the record label have the right to release it under the Queensryche name? Because obviously this is more of a record label maneuver, not so much Jeff Tate, because we all know, for those of us who are somewhat in the know about how the music industry works, usually remasters and reissues and deluxe versions of this, that, and the other usually are record label things. It's not so much that the artist wakes up one day and says, I think I'm going to re-release this album for the 20th time. So or have another greatest hits compilation. Most of the time, they're not really that inclined to do those things. But it brings back that whole question: is who does this belong to? Because I don't think Queensryche wants it, and technically, it's more of a Jeff Tate solo album. So, does the record label have the right to release it as Queensryche, or is somebody going to stop them and say, hey, you need to re-release this under the name Jeff Tate? And actually, the reason why I brought it up on my blog was because my thought was if they have to re-release it under Jeff Tate's name, the original copy ends up kind of becoming a collector's item of some sort, because it's obviously if future editions were made to say Jeff Tate or made to be re-released under his name, then these are the only copies that say Queensryche on them. But it's one of those collector's items that nobody wants.
Yeah, it's a collector's item that nobody wants. I mean, I would say that if you took everybody that bought that album when it came out, I admit I bought it, but if you take all of the people that bought that album, they probably wouldn't even fill an arena.
I wouldn't even think they'd fill a club, to be quite honest. I mean, I mean no disrespect to Jeff Tate, but even people I know who are Jeff Tate supporters or fans did not like that album. A lot of people I know who are Tate fans even say this wasn't his shining moment. This was obviously an attempt to make a cash grab, or one last attempt to grab people who are on the fence about the whole Queensryche thing, or to, one last gasp to use the Queensryche name before he has to give it up. Or basically, I don't see a lot of fans who actually consider this one of his finer works. So I don't think even those who bought it. Where did Thunder go? Did Thunder get an alien?
I'm here. I'm listening to you.
Okay.
Quick question though, like on the same aspect though. I was just letting you guys, go on there for a minute. What about the previous albums like Mindcrime and Empire? Now, up until the time of this lawsuit, where did all the royalties go to off these two albums?
Well, obviously,
Are they split?
Obviously that was all worked out in the settlement, because Mindcrime is Tate's intellectual property, so he gets the rights to that to perform it in its entirety whenever he wants, and obviously everybody gets whatever royalties or whatnot that was part of that, and that's why Frequency Unknown is an interesting sort of wild card, so to speak, because
I'm not as familiar with Frequency Unknown. I mean, I never bought the album, never looked into it.
You don't have to buy the album or know the music to have any to consider that this is a sort of weird, a kind of strange situation here, because.
Well, what I'm asking is any of the other members of Queensryche on the album?
No.
Or is it just Jeff Tate's version? Okay, see, that now makes more sense, because as I said, I didn't keep up with that album at all. I knew that there was problems and everything brewing, but I mean, so now that album there is just Jeff Tate's and whatever his band is now, his version of Queensryche.
Right, that was when he was allowed to use the name equally. So Queensryche had their album, which is the self-titled album with Todd Latore, and then there was Frequency Unknown, which was the Jeff Tate version of Queensryche. So that's kind of why this is an interesting situation, because
the only
name
thing that
belongs to them now.
Right. Well, the only thing I can think of is that it was recorded before the settlement, so therefore it is a Queensryche product with Jeff Tate's name on it. Even though it's only Jeff Tate, one of the original members, and they retain future Queensryche rights, it was not settled yet, so therefore he still had the right to use the Queensryche logo and the name behind it, just like he does for the royalties for Mindcrime and Empire. Is the only thing I can think of.
I mean, that's the part of the settlement. That's why this is kind of weird, because now with the settlement, he's not allowed to use the name Queensryche. He can
I
refer
understand that.
to himself as the former vocalist of Queensryche, but he cannot go around putting out records, I would think, even re-releases.
Right, but this was already put out. Yeah, but I know that, but it was already done, it was already mastered, and if it has a copyright date before the settlement says you can no longer use the name, maybe he can use the name for that album.
This is something different. This is something different, though, because it's being remastered by somebody else, and somebody that wasn't on the original album. So no, this is something new, and I'm kind of inclined to agree with you, Chris, about it being a record label thing more than it is a Jeff Tate thing, because and I think probably over the next week or so we're gonna see a story about Queensryche's legal team going after going after Cleopatra Records, which is the record label that Frequency Unknown was released under, saying, hello, release the album all you want, but you can't use the name Queensryche, and you can't use the Tri-Ryche either.
Exactly. That's exactly why this is such an issue, because technically the name belongs to them. So if Cleopatra re-releases it, then I would think, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know how this works, but wouldn't it stand to reason that if Queensryche, if that's their name, then wouldn't they get the royalties and not Jeff Tate? I mean, how does that work? And it's just one of, a lot of the fans, the disillusioned fans, are made a point. I've read this comment in several places. This is just another way for Tate or whoever is working things in his camp that approve this kind of stuff to keep this confusion going on further, because it seems like that's all he's really got in a lot of respects towards this. But honestly, I mean, we've all busted Jeff Tate's balls on the show a lot of times, but this is one situation where I'm not inclined to agree with that and to say, honestly, I don't think he had anything to do with this. I think this is more just the record label's attempt to try and recoup some of the money that they lost on this monstrosity, which makes no sense to me, because if they didn't buy it the first time, what makes you think that repackaging a pile of crap is going to make people want to buy it even more?
Right, exactly. And I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. I was just trying to look at the angle of which, it would work out in that way. And that's the only thing I could think of if it was, packaged under that deal that, yes, you can use this album. And, if I was Queensryche, like, I wouldn't want you to use our name, but it's already been put out there. It's so, and there's so many angles put in this, and you know how lawyers work things and word things. I mean, look at bands like, Van Halen. Who has the rights to what in that band?
Right. Well, I would think Van
so
Halen,
hard.
that's the brother's name. That's the family name, so I think as far as that goes, it's pretty much the brother's name. Like Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony could not go around calling themselves Van Halen. When they toured together, they couldn't call themselves Van Halen. They had to call themselves the other half or whatever it was they were called.
Right.
So something like that is a little more cut and dry than how the whole Queensryche thing came to be, because there was just everything was equally split. Everyone had an equal share among the 5 members, and that's why this whole thing was a mess. And speaking of shares in the band, that probably leads us to our next Queensryche-related story that Will has for us. So,
well, before we do that, let's go to the big story that came out this week. Static X.
Yeah, this is kind of a personal story for me. Very sad news. I was not a Static X fan, but I'm sure everyone knows. And actually, today